when I know
Is that Elvis?
That is Donald Trump himself.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if that was true.
Nor me.
I see stars. I hear the rolling thunder.
Now do you know it, Mike?
I've still never heard that song, but I know who Elvis is.
Well, he never wrote it. He didn't write most anything, I think. Just let me give you the punchline.
For some reason, I thought you were an American, Mike.
I am.
Hey, but you haven't heard this song, right?
The guy on the right's my favorite singer right here.
Who's that?
He's the guy that made that noise. I'm blanking right now what his name is, honestly. But his speaking voice is that low.
These weren't Elvis's best years.
Actually, I kind of disagree.
He didn't live much past that, did he?
He realized he was going to make a lot more money dead.
He didn't move far, though. He just went up to the top of Trump Tower, right?
Probably. All right, everybody. This isn't a music show, but I do love music, and I like Elvis, and I like gospel. And it's Sunday, October 26, 2025. It's a Fakeologist show. We do this show Sunday through Thursday around 8 p.m. Eastern time. But today, as you know, when I appear at this time in the afternoon, I am most likely talking to someone 5 or 6 hours away on the other side of the pond. And today is the first day we have a guest that was booked by our brand new booking agent, Anna, who is our regular Discordian. And she was on the weekend. And I think the show from the Discord may still be on. But anyway, she said, you have to talk to this guy named Mike. Code name or pseudonym on YouTube, Stellerium.
Stellium.
Sorry, say that again.
Stellium.
Sorry, Stellium. I'm thinking of I don't know what I'm thinking of.
It's a program for doing astronomy.
Oh,
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, right, Stellium. Because I thought, so she thought there would be some overlap. And one of the ways we want to grow the channel is to talk to people slightly outside our Overton window. And maybe if you're looking at a Venn diagram, there are crossovers and synergies that we can create. No, this is not New Ageism. And maybe extend our audience, and we could maybe grab some of Stellium 7's audience into our realm, because it really is with the algos. I know everyone blames the big system and the algos for not really presenting us to new people. And that's how I found new people. Yeah, just today, I'm on YouTube, a channel that I would be interested in that just started a day ago. He has 1 subscriber. I think it was his first viewer. And YouTube put that in front of me to watch. Now, why was that? You got to wonder. Fakeologist has been on YouTube and on the internet since 2012, and we cannot grow without people like our special guest tonight, or you guys, our audience, sharing the stream. So that's what happens. That's how it works. So anyway, our special guest is Stellium. He's over there in Spain. Stellium, welcome to the Fakeologist show.
Thanks for the invite. Nice to be here.
I know that was a strange way to introduce ourselves and come start a show, a little Elvis. My name is the Fakeologist. My mom calls me Tim. And I'm from Toronto, and we really haven't had much correspondence. And the other guy's voice that you hear is Frank the Salt Guy. He's in Geelong, Corporation of Victoria, Corporation of Australia. And he is my co-pilot for today.
So we're spanning the realm.
Yeah. And
I've known of you for quite a long time, Mike.
Oh.
Have you?
Is that good?
I think your work is fascinating.
Would you call it
Cool.
stellium or stellar?
So, how I became introduced to this topic was actually through a fellow.
Wait. What is the topic? Boris wants to know. Boris asked the question in the chat. What's the topic? I don't even know. What is the topic?
I want to know as well.
What is the topic? What are we doing here?
What did you
What
bring
did you
me
do
for?
to us, Anna? This guest is ready to bolt if you don't do something dramatic, Frank. Let's go. What's the topic?
Okay, well, the topic for me is that I've grown up. We talk about fakology. I've grown up in a world where I was trained as a mining engineer, a geologist, and when we were taught
And a
all
damn
sorts
good
of,
one.
we were taught all sorts of theories about how rock formations come about and so on. And for me to find people like Mike who have what I think is a very, very sound model about what rocks are and why they're in the shapes they're in. And another fellow called Hangman 108, who I understand you're hanging around with now.
1128.
1128.
Yeah, get the number right.
And
I'm fakologist.
And I think the
11,
first
by
thing
the
is really for Mike to obviously to introduce himself and his
way. Yeah.
background and how he ended up in Spain and what he has picked up. But essentially the topic is, what are rocks? And the first theme you played before, you were inadvertently playing Rocky at the start of this before you
Yes.
played How Great Thou Art.
I've really been hitting it out of the park with my music selection today. And let me I just updated the caption of today's show with the proper spelling and numerology of your name. So I apologize for effing that up. If you see any other mistakes, feel free to talk directly. We accept all criticism. But let me just say, that's what you think the show is about, Frank. But I thought the show was to talk about Mike's book, which I think he's on a bit of a book promotion, because there is some severe overlap between what his book topic, and my own background, which is pretty interesting. Yeah. Well, I've sort of alluded to it in the past. It's not nearly as dramatic as Frank, but I do have stories. So let's let Mike introduce himself, tell us about what his background and what he wants to talk about, because we're all ears here, really. We're not telling him what to say or when to say it.
Yeah, well, you talked about my book, which has come out a little over a month ago, called The Hacker Prince.
Can you hold it up?
I can. Hold on.
You've got video. I thought you'd be okay. He's got video, Frank. I'm gonna put a link.
He is a very well-known fellow, Tim.
Yeah. Where?
Here it is, right there.
Oh, it's backwards. Did you put everything backwards in your book?
I'll put it that way.
Oh, it's still backwards.
Upside down.
So why is it in reverse?
Because it's a front-facing camera, Frank. Come on, Frank.
I still don't understand that.
It's a front-facing camera. They're always in reverse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it chronicles my adventures as a hacker in the 80s. From basically like 13 to 18, I was getting into all kinds of trouble with computers and going on wacky adventures, meeting up with other hackers around the country and doing all kinds of stuff that people didn't even know was possible. And
what year
eventually that was well, I got caught for it in 1985. And so I had already been getting into trouble for 3 or 4 years at that point. And I was caught in Seattle and busted for infiltration of Microsoft and Boeing and some other companies. And a court case ensued. And it was basically a time when the laws were just being written for computer crime. Up until that point, anyone that was hacking the phone system, which was known as phreaking, was they were typically tried under fraud charges and that sort of thing. So I was basically the test case for the new law, which then became a national law a year later, known as the Computer Crime and Fraud Act in 1986. So the Washington State law that I was tried under was basically the template for defining computer crime and then also setting some really hard punishments for it. And
That's awesome.
so I ended up getting caught and went to jail for the crime of hacking in 1986. I was the first hacker in the world to serve jail time for the crime of hacking. So it's kind of a dubious honor. And yeah, that's what the book is all about. It's a very exciting read and has been released with very little fanfare or promotion. So
is this one of your first interviews on the book? Or you've been
I've done a couple so far, but yeah, I went, I just had on October 17th, it was the 40-year anniversary of my bust.
right.
And I've done just a couple of interviews so far. Not approaching this in the most methodical way when it comes to promotion or sales, but hopefully it will just take on a life of its own. It's out there now and it's not going anywhere. So
I'm predicting the book is going to explode after today's show. Frank, what do you think? It's going to blow up.
I hope
What,
you're
like
right.
on Mission Impossible?
Everyone who's read it said it has to be a Hollywood movie. It's just a
How
truth
much
is
will you
stranger
sell the
than fiction,
screenplay
so to
for?
speak.
Because
I
million?
think $1 million is a good round number. Yeah.
It's got a lot of zeros in it.
It doesn't get you much $1 million anymore, Mike. I think you need
No,
to
I
think
know.
bigger. But
Maybe
Mike,
I get a
it-
house out of
you're
it.
cool.
Like,
That'd be good.
get paid in Bitcoin. That's all I can tell you. Do it like that
Really?
football player did, or whoever it was that took the Bitcoin. I'm telling you.
But this is not financial advice, Jim,
No,
is it?
it's not. No, it's not financial advice, and this is not an investment channel. But I just talk.
Don't give medical advice either.
I don't give medical advice.
Right.
I think the financial channel advisors are getting struck faster than the medical advisors on YouTube now. I actually follow many financial channels, and all of a sudden they stop showing up, and then it turns out they get struck for. So I've instructed many of them just say you, don't say just say I, don't say you. Just say I do this, I'm doing that. Don't tell
Right.
anyone what to do. Don't say the word you. You seems to be illegal. Well, let me just give you some parallelism to my story. Now, I used to live in Vancouver in the early 80s, and I set up a bulletin board.
Mhm.
And maybe you even called it. Who the hell knows? And one of the guys that came to my bulletin board, it was mainly for trading Apple II software. So we're about the same age, even though you can't see me. Just take it from me. I don't need a camera because I'm not pretty anymore.
It's got a face for radio.
Face for radio. Well, I've started with radio, and I just haven't really adjusted to this new COVID reality where everyone has to show their face with bad audio, which I detest. So I try and focus on the audio. But anyway, I used to live out there. So I ran a BBS. It was mainly for trading software. The irony is, by the time I got the BBS going and running, I didn't even care about the software. It turns out the only game I ever played was Adventure for the Atari. And I never even played games on my Apple, mainly because I didn't pay for any of them. And the ones I had didn't work all the way to the end, like Wolfenstein and all that. But anyway, on my BBS, one of the guys that came to my BBS to start leaving messages was a guy called The Source. And his dad worked for the BC phone company. So he was posting all kinds. He was talking about tones and getting through getting free long distance. And the only reason it was interesting to me is some of the best BBSs were in New York City and in Texas. And for me to connect to them and download whatever they had, it would cost $20, $30, $40 an hour. And of course,
Exactly.
it took hours to download even the smallest program. And then at the very end, it would usually just die. And then you'd have to start all over again. So it was a real pain in the rear. But the point was, though, he was posting phone numbers, access numbers all over the place
Mhm.
on my BBS. Now, my BBS was slightly associated with the Apple Club of Vancouver because I couldn't afford a second computer, so I used their old scrap box that somebody slapped together, and we had loose ties, but he was posting these access numbers and tones and all the codes on my site, so it hit the newspapers that I was facilitating hackers and freakers, and
Distributing
I couldn't
codes.
care less about any of that stuff. All I wanted to do was just run a BBS, but my friend was so big in this, and I guess he got some info from his dad, from the phone company, whatever. He was super interested in all this stuff. So that's my parallel. So my thing blew up, and apparently someone went to my website and got access numbers for an engineering firm in Vancouver. So that guy read the story and then had a big meeting. I went to it. I'm a 12-year-old sitting in the boardroom of an engineering firm with the president, who actually was very happy that whoever hacked into his site exposed security flaws. So he was telling everyone, all the adults in the room, to leave me alone. I'm just a common carrier like the phone company or newspaper. I'm not culpable or liable in any way. So he was getting me off the hook, and he really wasn't mad at all. He was a super nice guy. I don't know if he's still alive today, but anyway, that's my closest story to yours. So let's go back to yours. And
Well, a
tell
lot of
us-
the best hackers were in New York and New Jersey, and I actually went via Hackatrip on a few different occasions to meet with some of these people who I'd gotten to know through the phone lines. And yeah, those are some of the adventures that fill the chapters of the book. And I have a little 3-minute promo video here.
Yeah, you can share your
pull
screen.
that up.
But I want to know how you were caught, and I want to really know. Like, I still don't think hackers are dangerous in any way. I think it's more modern mythology. I think it's all BS. And I think, like my friend of the engineering firm said, you're actually doing these companies a favor, because
Absolutely.
I doubt there's any ill intent at all on your behalf.
Yeah.
What is a 12-year-old
there
gonna
wasn't.
do?
I mean, I
gonna
did have sketchy morals.
Oh, really?
Well, can I talk about that model? I had a friend who was a hacker,
Okay.
and he was definitely just there for mischief.
By the way, Mike, you can share your screen and play yourself if you want, but I'll play it.
Yeah, you can just play that. I mean, we're only going for an hour, right? Or now 40 minutes? Or how long is this?
Well, first of all, this is my show, my platform, so it's as long as you want to stay or can stand us.
Right.
We're not on a network. This is the Fakeologist Network. I own all of it. I own the video platform. We're only on YouTube, just in case people are too lazy to go to my platform, fakotube.com. So as long as you want to talk, we'll listen. My only caveat is it's a
Careful what you ask for.
But if you're an interesting guest, and I already can tell you are, we can go for as long as you can stand listening to us, or our voices work.
And you've already said the right things about the shutdown.
What's he said?
Right.
He said the boomers. He's talking about people my age.
Yeah,
really dropped the ball and let everyone get jabbed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they've gone through decades of MK Ultra and Tavistokian programming, so
listen to those words,
Tim.
Listen to those words. He's a natural here.
Yeah, you are. Have you ever heard of us before, Mike? The Fakeologist site?
Not before you reached out to me, no. And I haven't had a chance to dip into your content. I just looked at some of the titles of some of your shows, and I thought, okay, I'll probably fit in.
I'm amazed. We've been going for 12 years, 13 years, and you haven't heard of us. This is a real testament to the effectiveness of big tech, just keeping us hidden, quiet. That's all they have to do. They don't have to argue or refute us. They just have to ignore us, which of course is the ultimate insult to any future celebrity. So let's play it.
So you should finish that off.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go full screen with it.
I will.
One of the more famous contributors here noted that the opposite of love is indifference.
Well, you should have asked. You should have tested him on that. See, you messed up.
I'm not indifferent. I'm just lacking knowledge.
No. This is how it's. Sorry. This is how it's supposed to be asked of you. He's supposed to say, Mike, what's the opposite of love?
Indifference.
That's right. What would you have said that? Would you have said that before though?
Probably not.
You would have said what?
I don't know. The default would be hate, right? But
Exactly.
yeah.
But anyone that hates you is more passionate probably than someone who loves you. Let's be honest. And that's why the answer is indifference.
Hmm.
Anyway.
And that's why Tim says the way that we've been dealt with is just to be ignored.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the first frame, Freaker. And
yeah, you were talking about tones.
touchstone
terrorism. You had calling codes, which were like Sprint and MCI for
right.
rebates on your phone bills,
yeah.
which were a hassle because you had to dial a number and then dial a code and then dial the number you wanted.
That's right.
But there was a whole slew of different technologies. They were the colored boxes, red boxes, blue boxes, white boxes, and each one had different functions. But the most famous was the blue box. And the people who used those kinds of technologies were known as freakers, which was a blend of phone and freak with the PH. And so you could basically use these devices to generate the same tones that the actual network was creating. Like when an operator would route an international call, you'd hear all these background noises, and those were special frequencies that are different from the keypad on your normal telephone. So if you knew how to generate those tones and knew how to use them, you could do anything that telephone operators could do. So we were doing all kinds of crazy stuff back in the 80s before the electronic switching systems came in, which is when they digitized everything and became far more dangerous. I got busted before that rollout completed, fortunately.
Right. Did you know the touchstone terrorist?
The name rings a bell. There were a lot of hackers that I knew, but
there was Captain Crunch.
It's also been forwarded.
Right.
Captain Crunch was the one who made the 2600 hertz tone famous, because he had learned about this, what I was just describing, that you could manipulate the phone system using tones by accident. He was blowing a whistle that was in the Captain Crunch cereal that had 2600 hertz, and when you blew that tone, it would knock telephone operators off of their trunks, and they just thought the line got disconnected, but you actually were on their line, and then you could do anything you wanted if you could use those tones as if you were an operator. So yeah, he was one of the absolute first. I talk about him and another guy named Joe Ingressia, also known as Joy Bubbles in my book, who was a blind boy who kind of figured this stuff out because he was so good at hearing these tones and replicating them.
Could he replicate them himself with his own voice?
I'm not sure if he could do it with his voice, but he was able to really just figure out a lot about how the telephone system worked just by listening to it.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of common when you're missing a sense. Every other sense is super hyper or amplified. So yeah, you have a lot more time and brain space to expand those areas. So that does make a total sense. That's why I always wondered, how the hell did Helen Keller, who was deaf, dumb, and blind, do anything? Answer: fake story.
Yeah, and why did she have an English accent?
The
How
only
do you
thing
develop an accent if you're deaf, dumb, and blind?
The only thing that makes sense is it's fake. It's fake, and hence that's the name fakeologist.
Everything's fake.
Everything is fake until proven real. So let's
and Frank as well.
Yeah,
I make no claims to reality. I'm at the edge of reality, as Tim's.
All right.
So you're
Mike, you
automatically in the fellow reality hackers category.
Mike, you just got the channel struck because you're an anti-Semite. Automatically, you just uttered the words. So now we're off the air.
I'm not Arabs. I don't know what you mean.
Exactly. So anyway, you had to go there. Who was saying my daughter's going to Washington next month. She's all upset because everything's shut down. And I asked the bot, I said, what museums are shut down in Washington? And they gave the whole list, almost all of them, including the Smithsonian. But they said the one that's open is the Holocaust Museum. That one is not shutting down. So I asked the bot, I said, does the government fund that museum as well? Oh, yeah, they do, but they figured out ways to keep it open. So there's something there. There's a there. And that's for Jim Rizzoli, who's our resident Holocaust expert here on Wednesday. So that's for you, Jim. But he thought that was interesting. But anyway,
they're tracking. Oh, you're going through your presentation. Sorry, keep going.
No, I was just going to say, before you hit play, I'll just preface the video a little bit. There's some footage in here of when I was 19, after the court case had finished, that resurfaced after 35 years. I didn't know it still existed, and I was in contact with the prosecuting attorney just to do some fact checking. And part of my plea bargaining agreement was that I agreed to meet with a bunch of heads of security, and a couple of the intelligence agencies were there, and they basically grilled me for a couple of hours and filmed the process, asking me how I did the things that I did. And they tried to get me to snitch on friends and stuff, and I told them to take a hike when it came to that subject. But yeah, so that it's fun that this video came into my life after
they couldn't flip you for no jail. You're loyal right to the end. The Cosa Nostra of freakers.
Yeah, well,
they couldn't turn you into a mole, a double agent. Wouldn't that be great? You'd be in Captain Crunch's lair and just finding even more good stuff out, state secrets. You could have started a nuclear war.
There have been a couple people on my channel lately that have said I'm a Fed, and I thought that was hilarious, because I'm like, yeah, they're playing the long game. You know, they seeded this information 40 years ago, and I'm just now coming out with it. And part of that process involved me being a chiropractor on the Costa Blanca in Spain for the last 15 years, just to create the illusion of authenticity, you know.
Well, Mike, to be honest, we are extremely skeptical and suspicious here. And not to make accusations, but we had...
Hey, Jasper visited. Hey, Jasper. Somebody I know.
What are you doing here, Jasper? I never heard of you.
He was just in Spain not so long ago. It was a big,
nice,
amazing party that he and I both attended. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was anyway,
so we had a guest on. We were talking about not our favorite topic, but it comes up on Wednesdays, the Holocaust, because that's all Jim talks about. And there are laws now, including in Canada, where you can't deny it. I don't know if you can question it, but you can't deny it outright and publish that kind of.
It's a thought crime in multiple of the countries here in Europe. I'm not sure which ones, but
I'm thinking. I'm not
tread lightly.
As a disclaimer, I'm not thinking about it. I'm talking about it. I don't know if there's an anti-talking law at the moment. I'm not thinking about it in any way. So that should make it not a crime. I don't think I'm breaking the law by mentioning it, because I'm certainly not making any judgment or statement on the veracity of it. However, we had a couple guests. There's a couple Canadian Germans that have been passing through our show, and mainly Jim's show. And one of our guests, who is Fake News Phil, like many people, was wondering, are you guys real? Did you really go to jail? Because this is the Fakeologist show. Isn't it part of our constitution to question everything? So we know what controlled opposition is. We know they play the long game. We know there are crisis actors. So isn't it kind of...
I brought all the receipts, and they're in this 3-minute video you're about to play.
Yeah, okay.
I made some tea that I forgot to grab, so you can hit play and I'll be right back.
All right. Okay. I think he wants us to play it now. He's probably seen it a few thousand times, so here we go. Frank, that's your phone. Oh, never mind.
I remember all that.
In February 1985, an 18-year-old Kirkland, Washington man pled guilty to 4 counts of computer trespass. The defendant was accused of gaining illegal access to 4 large Seattle area firms. Would you state your name, please?
My name is Mike Wilkerson. Usually they have the way it's set up is you dial in on one line and it calls you back on another so that you can't. It's supposed to be the ultimate security. But what you do is you break into Cosmos and you find out all of the phone numbers that that company owns, and you call it until you find the 2 that are hooked up to data. And then you get the callback modem and you set up call forwarding on that line so it call forwards to your home number. That takes a lot of work, but you haven't been caught. You have this invulnerable feeling. You just don't think you're gonna get caught. You ask any hacker out there that hasn't been caught yet if he thinks he's gonna get caught, and he'll tell you no. And if they tell you yes, it's because somebody close to them just recently got busted, and they have a feeling they're being watched.
Whether you're curious about the 80s hacking scene and some of its most infamous characters, or if you care to indulge in a bit of nostalgia for the early days of computing, or if you just simply like to kick back with a light-hearted coming-of-age tale, then this book is for you.
Wow,
Fed.
Wait, who's that?
A few weeks back, out of the blue, Gary McKinnon
That's,
reached out to me. I think it's a playlist. It just
Oh,
went
it's
to
on
the next one.
autoplay. Okay, good.
Yeah, so that guy, he was
fantastic.
one of the most famous hackers in the world for over a decade. He's in the UK, and he posted a comment on my channel like a few years back, and I recognized the name and wondered if he knew about my hacking past or if he was there for the research, and he didn't know about my past. So I sent him that 3-minute video, and he's like, "We should talk." And so we scheduled a video call and decided to just record because we figured it would be an interesting conversation for people to hear. So I posted about the first hour of what was really about 5 hours of talking, and that's on my channel as well. Yeah,
That's awesome. Hearing those touch tones it brought it all back to me, because for when I was living in my room for a couple of years in the early 80s doing this BBSing and all that, that's all I ever heard, those bloody tones and the yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah. So what? Why is it a crime? What is the actual crime?
Well, it said screen. They did they make the law before you?
well, it's interesting because the computer trespass in the first degree is a felony offense, so it's right up there with attempted murder or other things. And but if I were to break into your home, assault you, and steal your computer, that would be a gross misdemeanor. But if I slip into your computer and take some data from it through the phone lines without damaging the computer or you in any way, that's a felony offense. So
What does that
It's
tell you?
interesting. It tells me that the justice system is screwed up.
No, the justice system is exactly the way it's supposed to be. Because
Right.
what is this world all about? I say this all the time. Frank, what do I say? What is this world all about?
Money, you think?
It's commerce.
Commerce,
So
yeah.
if you cost somebody money, the whole justice system is a system to compensate
Mm.
for commerce.
Yeah. But in the end, you alluded to this earlier. I saved them money because I wasn't malicious. I wasn't there to do damage. I wasn't there to steal their data. I just wanted to play with their computers.
Yeah.
So what I did is I exposed vulnerabilities at a very low cost, and then I did that interview as well. So they got a lot out of it without having to pay high prices. So there was a man named Robert Steele. He passed away some years ago. He was a CIA agent, and he once described hackers as the Minutemen of the digital era. And I think that's an interesting idea, that ultimately it may be the weaponized autists that save us from from the totalitarian takeover, because
And a Minuteman is a safe cracker, is that right?
No, Minuteman would be like Paul Revere. The Redcoats are coming. The Redcoats are coming. The Boston Tea Party, like they're the ones that they could be ready
They're the
within a minute.
whistleblowers. Oh yeah, they get ready. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like the rebels. They're the
Hey Mike, looking at this screen, I don't know why it's green. I guess you colorized it just to make it.
No, I didn't. It's funny that the video was on beta. It wasn't even on VHS. It was so old, and the prosecuting attorney was able to digitize it, but it just took on this matrixy green colors because most of the 2 hours was corrupted. He only got about 12 or 15 minutes out of it. But I just like, oh, how classic that it looks.
Well,
it looks like
who you
something from the
remind me
Matrix.
of in this video is one of my favorite hateful or people I hate. Not that I'm trying to associate that with you directly in that way, but Bill Gates. When he's doing those interviews where he's rocking back and forth. You remember those ones?
No, I'm not rocking back and forth.
No, you're not rocking. It's just one of these. I thought you were wearing glasses or something.
Oh yeah, I do. There was one. Yeah,
one frame.
I was wearing my reading glasses when I was.
But you reminded me of Bill Gates. What were they interviewing? They were grilling him for something. I think they were just trying to nail him for anti-competition or something.
Well, all I know is if I had known what I know about Bill Gates then I probably would have gone to jail for a lot longer.
Oh, dude, tell. Is that the next book?
No, I just mean that, what a prick he turned out to be in every way, shape, and form, right?
Oh yeah. Well,
son, the most successful eugenics family in history, right?
He did all that from his backyard, that computer thing. From his
it was total organic development, Microsoft.
Totally organic.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
Don't worry, none of us believe that either, Mike. Mike, you're preaching to the choir. I think you possibly are an honorary fakeologist. I don't know anything about you other than this book and a few things that I watched on your channel, but you don't have to mince words with us in any way. We realize how engineered this whole world is. All these fake heroes, these fake business success stories started in the garage. It just happens so the garage is a DARPA. I mean, but
where Steve Jobs and Wozniak claimed to have gotten the money from to start.
I thought it was Hewlett Packard, maybe HP or Mr. Packard.
No,
maybe?
they were Wozniak. He was the first to digitize the blue box that we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
And so he created a much smaller format, and he had it. It had a circuit board, and so they were selling those in large numbers. And before they finally got caught for selling them, they decided to stop selling them and use that money in order to start Apple, or so the lore goes.
Yeah. In other words, it's a completely BS story. Do you think he had anything to do with the blue box, or is that another story?
I don't know. What can you believe about anything? I like empirical evidence. That's what I focus on most. Like when it comes to my channel, and all the other stuff I'm sure we'll get to is you know,
Mr.
information is easy to fake, but when it's
You're familiar
Oh, yeah, it
with
looks
a
just
company
like me.
called Real Networks?
No,
Internet?
I'm not saying it looks like you, but it's kind of a geeky guy. He's being cross-examined. I think Bill Gates is an actor. I don't think he's a savant in any way. I think he's probably vaccine damaged himself. I don't believe anything about Bill Gates. All I know is I curse him every single day because my system runs on Windows 11 or 11 HR 259. Every day he's in my life. I wish I could get rid of him, but I know I'm not switching
Yeah.
on Linux. But this is sort of what it reminded me of when you take. Not that you
he's,
were anything.
he's just the kind of guy you love to hate.
Oh yeah, he's so hateable, isn't he?
Yep.
He's such a fool, and he's probably actually pretty stupid. That's my take on it. He's not too smart, but
And is it a guy?
well, I'm not going to go there. But whatever. Yeah, I know we've talked about his unusual body. I noticed this this hacker.
I wouldn't be surprised about the FTM. That comment from Boris wouldn't
Oh,
surprise me
nice.
one bit. And I'm pretty sure Kevin Kline is taking on the role of Melinda. Where's Kevin Kline been for the last 20 years?
Well, Melinda.
The things you're saying are music to my ears. I'm telling you.
Well,
Just
not
so you
only
straight
that,
up.
but Melinda has been switched out a couple times. Where we're looking at
Right.
probably Melinda 3 version 3. It's just these people probably get tired.
Wonky world.
Yeah. So we're right there. And the other FDM is probably Elon, because he's sort of our new hero that has been given to us by the military industrial complex for sure.
Mister, you can tell it's real because it looks so fake.
Yep.
Exactly. And one of our favorite guests here, in case you've never heard of him, is called Mr. E. Mr. E is one of my favorite video content producers, talking about the Android Giants, FTM, MTF. So yeah, he's a regular here, so we're well up to date on that topic as well. We are up to date on most topics of fakery and fakeology, so there's not much that can throw us off.
Well, hopefully I can bring something new to the mix.
Yeah. Well, no, I really think this is an interesting story because, like I said, there's sort of parallels with what I was into or what I got intersected with. But how did you get caught? Let's ask that question. Who turned you in?
Basically, I just got sloppy because I wanted better connections. When you went through the Sprint and the MCI codes, it create all kinds of line noise, and so you get garbled stuff on your screen, and then the line would drop easily. And so I had gotten into so many different computers and never suffered any consequences. So I just kind of got sloppy and intermediate syndrome. I wasn't one of the best hackers out there, but I was learning very rapidly, and a lot of the people who were the best were friends of mine. So I was on track to enter into the upper echelons of the hacking world. But basically, I had different like macros that were programmed in. So when I would get into a server, like one of my favorites was the FAK1150-Stellerium from DEC. I like the operating system. It was just a system I enjoyed playing around with.
Was that Gem? Was the operating system called Gem from DEC?
No, it was called.
Gem. That was the precursor to Windows. Was it not?
It might have been. I don't remember the name of the operating system.
Yeah,
I remember the
graphical something. Yeah. But it was done by, you're talking about DEC computers, right?
Yeah, DEC, and this particular system that I was on, several of them around the country, was a FAK1150-Stellerium, which was it was just one that I enjoyed. And so I would hit a button that was like a macro of different commands to basically mask my presence on the computer. And I don't know if I've ever even heard that term. That's funny.
Yeah, sorry. It was invented by DRI, Gary Kildall's company. He also developed CPM and all that. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, so basically, I stopped using the Sprint codes and but it just made it easier for them to trace me, and I was logging in late at night with an account that I had created and tried to make it look like other accounts to blend in, but the system operator happened to be working late that night and ran a check on, see who was on the system and saw the account and didn't recognize it. So he looked it up and saw that it had higher privileges than his own account, which was odd because so he knew he'd been hacked and didn't shut down the system because he didn't want to clue me into the fact that I had made a mistake, and then contacted the authorities, and they basically set up a trace and waited for me to call back again.
Who did he who does he call? Who would he call? The FBI?
I guess I think he called just local detectives, because it was Detective Mike Cate of the Bellevue Police Department who was the one who served the search warrant when I was busted on October 17th, 1985.
October 17th. What day did the market crash?
That was also on October 17th, but not that year.
It was 1989, I think.
Yeah. October 17th has been an interesting date.
Very
for
suspicious.
A lot of reasons. Yeah.
Very suspicious. Well,
the revolution in Russia.
Oh, really? Interesting.
So your main motivation was social acceptance from other hackers. Would that be a fair comment?
Well, it was the camaraderie. It was a whole social life. I got bullied a lot from basically like 12 to 16. I got on the wrong side of a kid that spread rumors about me that weren't true, and people love a rumor, and so it haunted me through my schooling. And I was into sport. I played a lot of tennis and soccer.
Monty Python. We all of this stuff is how we suffer as small school children.
Oh no, it goes farther back than that. Whatever
I
our
don't know
parents
about the Monty Python connection, but
it's whatever our parents did to us, Frank. Come on, but high school does suck for some people.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I didn't mind school so much. I liked the subjects, but it was the social aspects that were challenging, and so I retreated into sport and then computers more and more. And what I found there was total acceptance, because I was talking with people all over the country, and there were no prejudgments. People just accepted me for who I was, and so that became the better part of my social life for a number of years.
I'm with you there.
But that was very much the nerd culture, though. That's where all the nerd stuff came out of, wasn't it?
There's a lot of stereotypes, and I met a lot of these people in person. What I can tell you is a good half of them did not match the stereotypes whatsoever. I mean, there were guys that looked like total studs, that would have been the guys getting the girls in school. And then there were goths, and then there were little, spinkly twerps and everything in between. So I think the nerd stereotype is definitely overapplied when it comes to hacking.
I think it's a little overapplied. But one of the things I ended up doing, because the modems were so slow, I ended up with my Apple BBS just forming a computer club, and I just rented a hall. And I said, listen, it's too slow to download at this point. Let's just bring all our discs to this computer or church basement and swap and copy. So we all brought our computers and our
pirates
and our drives, and all we did was copy for all night long. Saying, I'll take one of these for two of those. It was like
I remember those days well.
It was a swap club,
and that didn't stop all that long ago, really. I remember even 20 years ago, still going to Sunday markets and swapping. Yeah, we in Australia, everything came from Indonesia or Malaysia.
Yeah, but this wasn't a market, Frank. This was geeks, and the reason I brought the point up was I thought the nerd label was appropriate because most of these guys didn't bathe, they stank, they had funny teeth, their hair was most of these guys were a mess. Sorry. So I like to think I'm like that, but that's mainly what I observed. So I saw these people face to face.
But all adolescent boys look like that, Tim.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Anyone under 20, yeah. any male under 20, and there wasn't one.
That's
girl,
that's
but
why they don't get the girls.
there
The whole
wasn't
idea of
one. I don't think there was one girl. There were some sisters, but no.
the whole idea of putting young men and women at school together when the women are only interested in older established people. It's just too cruel, really. The whole school system
Well,
is
I'm not
brutal.
going down that road. I think, as the No Agenda show states, one of the biggest things they've done wrong in the school system over the last 20 years is they don't have school dances or dance classes where you're forced to interact with the other sex in a obviously platonic way. And because people are not in each other, just close
Well,
enough.
now you have to
each other.
interact with the other 15 sexes, don't you?
Yeah. Well, now, yeah. Well, anyway, we're not going there. We got special guest Mike. Is it Wilkinson or
Wilkerson.
Wilkerson.
K-E-R.
Okay, because one of my favorite football players from the 1980s was Tom Wilkins' son, who was one of the best football players in Canada, quarterback, by the way. Anyway.
But it's I guess
No
the interesting
relation.
part to me is, I mean, do you talk much about the the societal aspects of how you got there? I mean, you were effectively created by the system, weren't you? You were you're in school. You're not happy like a lot of us. And I was the same as you. I'm going to say, Mike, I was, because I could read and write. I was effectively the worst guy in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And
You're saying
do.
he's an outcast, and that they made him this way. But they didn't make him phone these companies, Frank. Come on, stop making excuses for Mike. He's obviously.
But they created they created their own vulnerabilities by moving away from people and into machines.
Mm-hmm.
These guys created a system that was vulnerable right from the start, and it still is. They're still saying, "Get your digital ID; it's the most secure way," and then the whole bunch gets hacked. They've got all the biometrics scanned and everything.
I want to get back to hacking because where did the word hacking come from, Mike? Because I don't think really hacking implies you're taking a machete and chopping up someone's flesh.
Good analogy.
So what the hell? You called a computer access line, poked around. I mean, what the hell damage could you do? There's no command to delete everything on their drive.
Right around the time I was busted, there was a flip with the term hacking, because up until the mid 80s, it had always been a positive term. And, going back to, like, I think the most famous first hack is the Cookie Monster at MIT, where somebody had put, something into the system. So every once in a while, the entire server and all of the nodes would just stop functioning. And then it would say on the screen, "Give me a cookie."
Well,
and for a long time, they couldn't figure out how to deal with this. And they tried shutting the thing down and starting it back up. But basically, someone realized at one point that they could type the word cookie in and hit return, and the system would come back up. So that went a long time without being found. But hacking had more to do with like hardware and people that are just, the classic basement lore where they're in their garage or the basement and they're just toying with tech, and then they come up with some innovation. So it was always a positive term, but kind of like woke went from being a really good thing to being a really bad thing in about a year. Similar thing happened with hacking as a word.
Hack version 2. Oh, hold on. Version 1 of hack, according to etomonline.com, to cut with chopping blows. Circa 1200 from verb found in stem of Old English. To hackian, hack to pieces from West Germanic hackon. Source also of Old Frisian hackia, to chop or hack. Dutch hacken. Old High German hatchen. German hacken from pie root keg. Hook. Tooth. Perhaps influenced by Old Norse hogva, to hew, cut, strike, smite, etc. I think we get the point. And hack version 2, illegally enter a computer system. By 1984, apparently a back formation from hacker. Related, hacked, hacking, 1975 in this sense. Earlier verb senses were to make commonplace, 1745. Make common by everyday use. Use a horse for ordinary riding, all from hack. So wow, this really was, you helped create the verb version 2. Way to go.
Thanks.
You
I'm
should have credit in there. Is your name in
a
here?
pioneer.
You get money for that.
But you were the first. You were the first person jailed or charged with this particular crime.
I am. It's a
Okay, so where did you?
strange thing to be able to say, but it's true.
The fact that you are not the most famous man on the planet is
Oh, he will be.
astonishing.
Who's gonna play you in the movie? Who do you want?
Well, if it happens soon, I think Timothy Chalamet would make a good one. He still looks pretty young. He looks just like I did at that age. So.
Oh yeah, you have to get someone age appropriate, right? Yeah. Okay, so you couldn't do it yourself because you're too old now.
No.
Okay,
my son could have done it a couple years ago, but he's getting too big and mature looking.
Oh, okay, yeah, he can't do it either. So anyway, so you were caught. The Bellevue, which I guess is a suburb of Seattle, police came over. They're busy. They come from, a stabbing or a shooting over to your place. And then what happened? Did they pull you out of your closet?
There was a knock at the door, probably like 9 a.m. and I was asleep at the time. And yeah, they came in, served a warrant, and I don't want to go into too much detail about that particular thing because there's some interesting stuff that happened.
Why, is there a lawsuit involved now?
No, I just don't want to give away parts of the book.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, everybody buy the book and don't ask me for the PDF because I don't have it.
Yeah, I need to put a torrent up there on Pirate Bay just to beat someone to the punch and
absolutely
pay homage for all the stuff I pirated over the years.
What about value for value, man? Come on.
Yeah,
you know about that?
Totally. Yeah, I need to just edit the PDF so it's got like a, hey, if you like this, please consider donating, and then just give it away for free for the people who still use those technologies.
Don't say donation. That's a dirty word. Say, did you get value? Then you pay back value. That's a better way of looking at it. Donation. Sounds like you're a charity case. You're not. You just want fair value for what the person can afford. Not everyone can afford. I'll send you a couple Satoshis.
Someone asks if I knew a hacker named Resonator. No, I didn't.
Yeah. That's actually your former neighbor. That's
and then someone was talking about Mark Sargent claims he was a hacker too. I don't know if that's true. I know he was like high-level video game guy, but I don't know about hacking.
You know about Mark Sargent?
Oh yeah, I've met him.
Oh, have you? Wow.
And what's he like?
He's a very, very nice guy. He's exactly as he seems to be in person. If you've watched any of his videos, he's pretty congruent and consistent, I would say.
Did he give you any dirt about flat Earth hot potatoes? That chickie with the red hair?
Yeah, I'm very suspicious. Patricia Steer and Robbie Davidson and Paul on the Plane, they all flipped on the same day. Two of their farewell letters to Flat Earth had paragraphs that were identical. And,
nice.
And all three of them were under investigation for SEC violations that were related to a crypto coin that they had been promoting. They did something like 20 plus streams about this particular coin. So I think that there's probably coercion involved in their flip because
it wasn't Epic Cash.
Apart from Jaron, anyone who's ever gone from the Globe to Globe Skeptic has never gone back. So
I hope it wasn't Epic Cash. I hope that wasn't the crypto. That was our little dabble back in the day. I don't know the whole story. I find the whole flat Earth content creator sphere boring. It wasn't my thing, wasn't my jam. My only involvement, which you may or may not know, is I was apparently the first guy to call Mark Sargent's phone number while on the air. So we did an interview right then and there. I was just phoning around with my Skype back before Microsoft destroyed it. And he picked up the phone. I was surprised. I just watched his Flat Earth Clues. So I just thought for shits and giggles, I give him a ringy dingy and I recorded it. So people thought I was part of the whole thing, which I'm not in any way.
Huh.
But
yeah, he fully doxed himself from the first day, gave his address, phone number. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he's real or not in the terms of what his agenda is. It's kind of strange to this day. But we have had him on the show a few times, and he's very, very cordial and very interesting to talk to. And actually, we should look him up again and have Frank on, because Frank's a big flat earther, of course.
Well, I am only my view is simply this, Mike, just to bore you. My view is that everybody assumes the Earth is flat for all practical purposes.
Everybody assumes it?
Yeah, everybody. I mean,
it's an assumption. No, it's assumption in engineering is what he's saying.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
There's
all the military manuals and flight manuals, they're all
that stuff. No one actually uses the spinning ball model for anything practical,
including engineering.
Not even the pilots.
Not anybody. Anyone that jumps on a plane and flies.
But snipers.
But snipers, etc. So the problem I have with the whole discussion is none of us are ever going to know, because we're not going to get the ability to go up there and or even you can't even get high enough to pick up a curve anyway. But the whole point remains that no one uses this thing. We don't say, oh, while I'm flying from Madrid back home to Seattle, the planes moved back to where Madrid was while I was up in the air. No one ever worries about that.
Frank, have you guys ever looked at this website, flightradar24.com?
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how none of
and flight aware. And if you put that on a circular map, you'll see that there's flights. No flights they're all straight lines.
Yeah.
And there are no flights
flight
from the
routes,
North Pole or the South Pole.
Flight routes disprove the globe.
Where are all the planes down here?
Well, you are never going to disprove the globe to the satisfaction of the average Joe, Mike. It's
no, but it's definitely a topic that's gained steam despite heavy algorithms.
Absolutely. If you can get people to acknowledge, at least to themselves, that they've never used this spinning ball model, that would be helpful. But you can't even get people to acknowledge that.
Why do you think they put flight highways in the sky? For instance, look at these planes that are going from South America to Western Africa. Why do they take a certain path across the ocean, do you think?
And why do they have to go into the northern hemisphere? You get these flight routes where they're going up and then down like that.
Right here.
But when you look at it on an azimuthal equidistant, it's the straight line. So yeah, flight routes definitely lean in favor of a disc shape rather than a sphere.
But what I wanted to say was, I think when it comes to flying over the ocean, they take certain paths because they have to put communication devices on the ground to communicate with the plane. Since satellites are fake and space is fake, it has to be ground-based. So they have to follow a path where they can be in communication with whatever devices are floating in the ocean, or beacons or that kind of thing.
And there is a large part, Tim, I don't know if you're aware, but there is up until, as far as I know, it's still the case that you lose contact on the flights between Australia and South America for quite some time.
Right, because do they fly this way over the South Pacific, or
they claim to? But
no, they actually fly more or less to.
They fly up and down.
Yeah,
like you'd think there'd be flights from South.
But there is a flight
to Argentina, and they claim there are, but
there is a flight
never
from Melbourne to Santiago, but it runs along where they lose communication. There's a jet stream, a circular jet stream.
Okay.
That runs around the Antarctic. That's where the fastest winds are, and they just pick up those breezes.
Oh wait, as you can see, There's nothing going on in the South Pacific or the Southern Ocean. Nothing. There are no flights. This is a live map of all the alleged planes flying. I mean, I'm sure all
And
the
there's
elites aren't on this
nothing there
map.
right now.
There's zero. This whole section's empty. Where's this guy going? This guy is going. I love this where you can click on the plane. He's going from Papeete to LA. Now, I don't know where Papeete is.
Papeete is a tropical island, more or less, where that.
From right here. That's in the South Pacific.
Papeete.
Oh, yeah, French Polynesia. Okay, he just took off. That's probably why all these neat colors are there. Okay, so there you go. But other than that, there's really... Wait, here's somebody. Where's he going? He's going from Santiago to Mataveri. Where's that? Anyone know where Mataveri is?
Never heard of it.
Me neither. But anyway, there's some action. Wait, there's one down here. Where's he going? Okay, here's Santiago to Auckland. Okay, so there are.
Right, so look at the direction he's coming from, right?
It's Santiago to Sydney, right at the same time.
So why is he looks like he's heading straight up there, and he's come from New Zealand? So how did that work?
No, he's going from Santiago to, so he's sort of angled this way. So let's keep an eye on these guys.
But you see what's happening there? He is following. There's a jet stream.
Okay.
That is, if you imagine now the azimuthal projection, as Mike said, the winds circle strongly around that circumference.
Okay.
And that's what they pick up.
Yeah, there's you can see the winds aloft through, they probably say it's satellite imaging, but if you look at the high altitude winds on a sphere, they're swirling all over in this way that doesn't make any sense really whatsoever. And then when you see the same exact data projected onto the AE map, you have concentric rings that are rotating in opposite directions. All of a sudden, it has total order to it on an AE map. So it's really easy for them to map things around a sphere, digitally, but doesn't mean we're on one.
And the other problem is that particular projections that was commonplace got taken off when all this blew up.
Yeah, it's been reproduced on David Weiss's app. I don't know if you've had him on, but
no,
he has an app called the Sun, the Flatter Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, which is he has poured probably hundreds of thousands into the development of this app, and it's fantastic for bypassing all the algorithms on YouTube because it's got all of the most commonly asked questions when it comes to the whole Earth shape debate. And then when you click on the questions, it gives you playlists of all of videos that you can't find, even if you type in the exact name to find the video. And it's got a friend finder and meetups and all sorts of things. It's pretty comprehensive. And one of the things that he's added to that is this data collection for the winds, and then you can choose the different mapping formats, so you can look at it on a globe. That as soon as the flat earthers came across that information on whatever the map site was that was from the government, they took off the AE bit and
they took it off. Yep.
Yeah, it's like, why would you do that? It was always there before, and suddenly it wasn't anymore because it didn't fit their narrative. So somebody's managed to take all that data, which is still available, and map it onto the AE map again. And it's very interesting how much order it has. Yeah, okay, someone asked, please tell us your thoughts on gigantism, which is one of the big themes on my channel. Okay. And obviously, if we're talking about Earth shape and we don't know exactly what it is because you can't get outside of it, people who claim to know, I question. People I have the most trust and faith in are the ones that are questioning, are skeptics, are looking at the evidence, are thinking rationally and logically, but are also perfectly willing to admit that there's some things we just can't know. We can speculate about them. And so one of those things is, what is the true shape of the Earth, if not a sphere? And one of them, I think you've had IPS on several times. The infinite plane society is the idea that it just extends outward forever.
IPS is a favorite, and he's now a regular Monday guest now. We're doing a Monday show now. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
haven't seen anything from him in years, but I saw some videos a long time ago.
oh,
But
he's great.
you
Very
know,
good.
so are we inside of a sphere? Like all of the ancient cosmologies were talking about the cosmic egg, in which you have the celestial dome, and the luminaries are moving around within that. Sometimes it's concentric spheres, but all of them had this disk in the center of that, and that is what the ancients believed that we were on. So that's one potential model. I lean towards something more complicated, which is a toroidal model of the Earth, which is in alignment with magnetism and plasma physics and a whole bunch of other things. And it's something that these are things that can be reproduced in actual experiments in laboratories, rather than like just, trust me, bro, and we have our rockets up there and our satellites and everything. So I don't assert Earth shape, but I definitely believe that a lot about the nature of this realm has been hidden from us. The past has been rewritten and changed. That there are very likely outer realms, probably beyond Antarctica, and so we don't know how big it is. But on a ball the size they tell us, gigantism of the sort that I talk about on my channel. You can see there on the icons, there's this mountain here in Spain that I've spent a lot of time investigating, that I believe to be a fallen titan, that would be a 3 mile long creature, roughly a mile tall. Yeah, there's a 90-second teaser video or that you could
It's
let's
in
see.
this section of this playlist.
Oh, it's that. The first 30 seconds of that is basically a summary.
Like a big rock to me.
Yeah, it is a big rock.
I'm a super skeptic, by the way.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay. Oh, some tusks going on there.
Yeah, those were Photoshop, but they had to be.
I like that.
Well, just to bore you, Mike, I
Give you a thumbs up on that.
I've spent a lot of time doing mine planning for the large iron ore mines of Western Australia, and they are much more easily understood by me now if they are flesh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was.
Well, it's not. I've got nothing more to say. It to me.
No, but Tim did.
No, I was just saying flesh. What are you talking about? Flesh? That's all I said.
Right.
Yeah, because the iron ore deposits, Tim,
Yeah.
are laid out. They're stratified at in the Pilbara of Australia.
Mhm.
They're the layers of them. If you pick up a picture of say what's the Fortescue area and the canyons there, you'll see what's called the banded iron formations.
Okay.
Of Western Australia. They're layers of
I've spoken
magnetite,
about those a lot.
hematite, etc. And then they have discontinuities running vertically or subvertically through them, which are silicates, which corresponds to the fascia between the muscles. It's very, very fascinating.
Yeah, I coined a lot of people talk about mud fossils because there's a channel called Mud Fossil University, a guy named Roger Spur, who's been presenting these ideas for about a decade. I started my channel a couple years after coming across his work, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Some of the stuff he said sounded pretty crazy to me, and there were a lot of times that he was making claims with absolute certainty as he was pointing at different rocks. And I work as a chiropractor. I studied anatomy a lot, and also histology, which is the study of tissue. Yeah. And so sometimes he was pointing at stuff, making claims, and I was like, yeah, I can see it. And other times I'm like, no, there's no way you could look at a rock like this and be so certain that it was this, that, or the other. So I was a little skeptical, but I liked the ideas. And another thing that he would constantly talk about on his channel was this formation in the Sahara Desert, which is a
dragon.
It looks like a 1,000-mile long dragon that's battling with a giant fish. And I thought, oh, okay, this is pretty way out there, but he's going into detail on Google Earth and showing the different anatomical features. And I thought it was a fun thing to ponder, and I wasn't just going to throw it out. But he also mentioned that there were ancient Greek texts that were describing this battle between the Leviathan and the Behemoth, and that battle supposedly took place in this exact place where these creatures are in the Sahara. So those are 1,000 miles long. The one that's on the screen there, and obviously the tusks are meant tongue in cheek, just to kind of drive the point home. But that's 3 miles long. So I've been of the mind for a long time that we live in a fractal holographic universe, and that there's this scalability to things, and there's there's a repeatability of pattern across scale. So whether you're looking at the microscopic or the macroscopic. So I never really had a problem with it, except that the mainstream scientific model says that this is categorically impossible, because these creatures would have been so big that they would collapse under their own weight, because their bones wouldn't be able to hold them up. So that's why they tell us that the myths and the legends and the fairy tales and the religious texts, also like the Bible, the apocryphal texts that were removed, like the Book of Jasher and the Book of Enoch, these texts were just superstitious, created by the minds of primitives who didn't really understand the true nature of the realm, and they didn't have access to all of the technology that we do today. And so we know this, that, and the other. So they say that these creatures would have collapsed under their own weight as a result of the square cube law, which is that as you increase the diameter of something, the volume increases exponentially. The greater the volume, the greater the mass, the greater the mass, the greater the gravitational pull. Well, the problem with that is that when you start to dig into gravity, you find out that that's also a crock of shit. You've got Newtonian gravity, and then you have Einsteinian gravity, which is the bending of space-time, which is a construct that he came up with, and everyone just ran with it. And even though it was hotly contested and debated, in the early 1900s when his theories were coming out. So things go down. There's no doubt that there's a downward force, and if you jump up, you're going to come back down. But do we really need Einstein's bendy space-time to account for that? And things naturally layer out based on buoyancy and density. And then there's also an electrostatic attraction to the Earth that could account for the downward vector. So it's kind of redundant. We don't actually need Einstein's theories in order to explain what we're able to witness and reproduce in experiments. So in my mind, their explanation of the square cube law, throwing out the possibility that Titans once existed, is not accurate.
Okay. Could we get back to, so we got off track. Could we get back to your hacking adventures and your arrest?
Is that what he's like? Let's avoid this topic. I thought
No.
No, I know it sounds.
Everyone's open to what you're thinking. There's no problem with that.
No, I have no problem with it. It's just less of an interest to me, because we did get derailed, which is fine. It's my fault. I lost control of the train of thought, and it derailed down the mountain into Spain and onto an elephant's head. But I just wanted to finish off where we left off for all those that are hanging on the edge of their hacking seats like me.
Right.
I was in contact with the hacking community. I would never call myself a hacker, but you're very multidimensional. I don't want.
You were a facilitator, though, Jim.
No, I was a common carrier, like Twitter or the phone company or a newspaper.
Yes, but you get attacked now as well. The common carriers get shut down now as well.
Well, you get dragged into it, but we just have to prove we have no control over we don't have editorial control over our content. I think that's a fair thing.
Well, the laws in Australia are making you responsible
liable
now. Yeah.
Sure, I'm sure. Well, screw Australia and Canada, where I live. But and we'll get to why Mike is over in España there. But Mike, could you just continue on? So you were something happened with the detectives in your house. You can't talk about it because it's in the book on page 33. but keep going.
Right. 33. Should I start flashing hand signals now?
Yeah, that's why we don't do
yeah,
video
that's
because
that's
I'm sitting in my Masonic apron.
um, yeah, well, let's see. So, got busted, a court case ensued. It was huge news, front page of many papers multiple times. And it took about a year, I think, for the whole thing to complete. And I was
Wait.
sentenced.
Let's back up. What did your parents think about this? Because
Exactly
what
what I
did
was thinking.
where did you get a lawyer? Obviously, you
I
could.
got a lawyer. Yeah,
Your
my
dad must have.
stepfather, when he found out, he laughed and he's like, "Oh, you got yourself into a real pickle this time, didn't you, Mike?"
Yeah,
And then my mom was obviously worried
yeah,
that it
because
could
that's
it
what
could go
moms do.
badly for me, or it might mess up my future in one way or another. Yeah, but in general, I mean, it wasn't like I was
Yeah,
you know
but who
accused
got
of
the
some
lawyer?
violent crime or something. Well, my stepfather's mom actually worked as a secretary at the law library of the University of Washington, which was a very fortunate thing for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was interesting because the place where I was caught was literally just down the road from her, and I had visited from. I grew up in California, and I ended up in Seattle, coming back from one of these hacking adventures on the East Coast, and people that I had met and had started working for as a computer consultant in Hawaii. They were doing business in Seattle at the time, and so I was heading back to Maui where we lived, and they're like, "Oh, can you reroute your flight through Seattle and come and hang out? We're going to be here for a little while." And I was like, "Sure." And so I ended up in Seattle for a few months before I got caught.
Mhm.
And when we were coming from the airport and we were driving in, we went across this bridge, the Evergreen floating bridge, goes across Lake Washington. And as we got closer and closer, I'm like, this reminds me of where we visited a few years ago when we were on a road trip in my parents' VW van, and we went to visit my stepfather's family. And we got closer and closer, and it turned out that this condominium that these guys had rented was literally on the same road that my step grandmother lived on. So that was very fortunate because when after getting busted, I eventually ended up staying with her for a period of time. But she also happened to be a secretary at the law library, so she was the one who found somebody that could represent me as my lawyer. Could see pictures of him in that little preview video that you showed.
Okay, so you had so you pled. It said in the intro that you pled innocent, which is not a real plea. You pled not guilty, which
Not guilty. Yeah,
means
initially.
Crown, the whatever they call it in the U.S. The DA must prove their case. Doesn't mean you're innocent. It just means they have to prove.
Right, which would have
guilty.
then gone to a trial. But eventually I changed my plea after the plea bargaining process completed. It was just a way to buy some time. My lawyer and I were both very shocked by how much press it received.
Yeah. It's
And
sexy. Hey, wait a second. When was the War Games movie out? Was that before or
that was
after the Dark-
1983. I'd already been hacking for like 2-3 years at that point. A lot of people
Okay.
are like, "Oh, this must have been based on you," but it wasn't. Yeah,
So you were hacking before the movie?
I was hacking before the movie,
Yeah.
but I got busted like 2
After the
years
movie.
after the movie came out. That movie really spurned a lot of, spurred a lot of, the move towards getting legislation for hacking, because all of a sudden, after every teen in the country saw that movie, they wanted a modem and a PC and wanted to try do crazy shit like David Lightman did in the movie. So that was really where hackers started to really be demonized in the press for this
Anti-Americanism National security. Well, as we know, all Hollywood movies and books are meant to create reactions to create laws, even if they're based on a fake or phony story. What do you think of that? So that would have been just
I
something.
think so much of it is problem reaction solution, and that
Yeah.
they create the problems so that they can roll out the solution that they want. You know, just like
Yeah.
we're seeing now with digital ID, it's like they're the ones that have created the immigrant crisis, and now they want to solve it with totalitarianism.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. Yeah, so they fake the problem. That's the main thing. That's our angle here. We don't think they actually do the problem, but they fake it. But the laws created are real. See, one of the pejoratives, one of the put downs of fakeologists is we think everything's fake. No, we don't think everything's fake. We think the origin story is fake and the event is fake, but everything else is real. So
The
that's
consequences.
the consequences, the laws,
Well, except
departments.
except that some of the laws clearly are fake because they don't have proper establishment. They don't have a chain of custody to get from, whatever it is we agreed to at birth.
Oh yeah, but that's okay. Yeah, that's another story. But
as you rightly point out, does Canada exist?
Yeah, well, they didn't dot the I's and cross the T's, so no, actually, it doesn't. We're in limbo, and we've been in limbo land forever since the 30s. So, but nobody's checking, nobody cares, it doesn't matter because we just carry on as if it does exist,
as if it's true. We carry on as if it's true.
Well, that's how we all live our lives. Everything we carry on as if it's true because there's no time, interest.
We don't know what else to do.
Look into it. Yeah, we go to our bullshit jobs and make bullshit money, and we try not to get sick or hurt and not die early. That's pretty much the goal of the game, isn't it?
As we all live in a yellow submarine.
Okay, so anyway, so why did you plea? Why did you do a plea? What was the point of that?
Well, once the news broke, there was so much attention on the case, and we were in the plea bargaining process, and it was something that my lawyer recommended that we initially that I would plead not guilty, and then with the intention later of if the plea bargaining went well, switching the plea to guilty, which is what happened. So yeah, I mean, when I came out of the courtroom at the arraignment, there were 4 television stations and like a wall of reporters with cameras flashing at me. It was a bizarre experience, and
it's like a movie.
It was like a movie. I was in it, and yeah, and so
that's our favorite doubting phrase, by the way. Here, like a movie. Like a movie.
Oh, okay.
We use that as a clue for fakery.
So good. So you'll be skeptical of me then, because.
Oh well, I've already got.
I've already got comments. You don't mind anyway, do you, Mike? Surely,
Mike.
No.
You know where you are. If you look at the Fakeologist audio or Fakeologist blog where I post this show, so this show is already posted, pre-posted. So here's the title of tonight's show: FAK1150. Everything we're talking about, I've dropped links, as you can see, as you're talking.
Oh, cool.
It's not that I'm ignoring you. It's just I'm doing this simultaneously. I've already got show art created by Junior Fakeologist. So you've already got your show art. And then we already have replies. Look, there's already 2 replies to tonight's show. Should we read them?
Sure.
Hold on. Here's the first one.
He's a fed. He's a fed.
Hoax. And then lame. And then, hold on a sec.
Ooh,
Dave,
what is this?
Did Michael learn his skill at synagogue?
Synagogue. I don't even know what you mean. Like,
well, he says that everyone,
Jewish synagogue, or what?
Well, he's saying that everyone, including myself, are Ashkenazi Jews because we're all suspicious. You see, so everyone's a Jew to him, including me, probably Frank too. But
I'm a rabbi.
You're a rabbi, yeah. Okay. And anyway, so he's circling the 1-6 because Dave J is all about the 7 code. So if he ever sees any 7 or anything that adds up to 7, it's a hoax to him. So
Okay, so my channel is Stellium 7, so
Yeah, yeah. He
clearly I
used to
hope.
call in, but he really started harassing some of my guests, and some of them got disturbed, so he's blocked from calling in. So this is where he lives in my comments. So just letting you know,
Well,
you're already famous
enjoy your time there. Somebody asked me in one of the
purgatory.
comments on my channel yesterday, like, are you a Freemason? And my answer was hell no. No oaths sworn, no secrets held, and why do you ask? I mean, I've never given any indication that I'm part of any secret society.
Right.
In fact, I actively try to expose as many secrets as I can. So,
Okay, could you address the 7 code? Are you a part of the 7 club, whatever that is? Are you?
I don't even know what a 7 club is, but the name of my channel, Stellium, you said Stellarium before, which is
Oh, I know.
it's an astrological thing.
I'm sorry about that.
Stellium is also an astrological term, and if I grew up with astrology, my mom was into astrology since before I was born,
Mhm.
and when you have 3 or more planets in a particular sign or a particular house, that's called a stellium. Which is basically like a concentration of energies in the natal chart.
Okay.
And I have 5 planets in my 7th house, and so I've always liked the number 7, and that was how when I started my YouTube channel, I was like, what am I going to call this thing? I didn't even know. And then I just thought, oh, I had an email address with that for years, so I just figured, oh, I'll use the same, and that'll be easy to remember. So I never expected that people would start calling me Stellium, but it's become a moniker.
All right. Well, here it is here on Perplexity. And by the way, I don't like Grok much because it's slow. I don't know what computer he's using over at Grok, but it's super slow, even though I'm a premium member. So Perplexity, they really amped it up. It's really quite fast.
I
So
love Perplexity. That's my favorite AI.
yeah, those guys are pretty good. I don't think they're linked to anyone particularly bad. And
I find far less narrative control on
okay.
Perplexity.
Oh, that's
Like
good. Okay.
ChatGPT and Grok. It's like it's just going to feed you whatever the mainstream narrative is on whatever you're talking about.
The only thing I was liking Grok for is it seems to have exclusive access to X or Twitter, and I do like some of the the information on X, some of the sources. Now, everyone's suspicious to me, but I just think it goes there first to get a lot of its stuff. So I do like trying to get the latest. X is sort of more of a live timeline of what's happening in the world. So if I'm looking up a crash or something that happened, there's a lot of content there. So, but you got to use them all. We need a meta AI. Does anyone here remember Metacrawler?
Yeah.
That was before Google was took over the world, or
Yeah.
Metacrawler went to all the little search engines and brought them all together into a meta or a combination search result. So that was pretty good. So we need a meta AI because I find all the AIs, for the most part, are not too good, but they're based on what's out there. The website.
You should have hung on to that suggestion for yourself, Tim. Started a company and got some seed capital.
All right. Listen, all my ideas are out there for the public. They're all free. So just take it, run with it.
Create the one ring, one AI to rule them all.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. How long would I live?
Forever.
Who was I can't remember who I was listening to. It was a non-fakeologist, but he's convinced there's free energy. And all the people that are about to release the code for getting free energy, they're always killed. I kind of liken that story to all the Iranian nuclear scientists that are just about to release the bomb to the Ayatollahs, and they're all killed mysteriously by the cruise missiles that can go in and around doors or knock on the door like the Coyote Roadrunner hour and blow them up. You know what I'm talking about?
Totally.
Do you believe in the free energy story? Is energy free and we're just not given it because they can't?
Well,
I prefer the
do.
term. I prefer the term over unity because it's never free, because you have to create the infrastructure to harness the energy that's available.
Okay.
Whether it's etheric or other types of approaches. I mean, think of solar power or wind.
Yeah.
You have to create the infrastructure in order to be able to harness the energy, which is free. So free energy isn't really a good term. Over unity means you're getting more out than you're putting in, which in the case of the giant wind farms and all that, that's definitely not the case. There's all kinds of environmental destruction and huge amounts of resources going into the creation of those things, which don't give much back. So I think that there are definitely, quote unquote, free energy devices out there that have been suppressed, and patents have been, squirreled away, and people go missing, and
So you
are
believe those
poisoned.
stories? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think the sun and the wind and the rain and the tide has all been given freely.
Yeah, but to make use of it, you have to create the infrastructure, and so that's not free. So ultimately, it's not free.
Well, it is free. Many people used to create their own infrastructure. They build their own fireplaces. And
the infrastructure also creates resistance. So the power has to overcome that resistance to get into your computer at your house.
You still get it for free. Everything comes from God. Is the point I'm making?
But we're just trying to, Frank. We have to get it into your computer, into your house, into your freezer. That costs money. Come on, Frank. We know the sun is free.
It all comes from God.
Okay, but
there's a few questions that the chat has asked that I can answer real quickly. One is, why is Mike in Spain? I ended up here 15 years ago. I moved down from Sweden, where I was living for a decade, and studied and started to work as a chiropractor there, and wanted sunnier weather and had some job opportunities here. So I've been working on the Costa Blanca for the last 15 years as a chiropractor. Someone else asked,
sorry, the Costa what? Blanca?
Costa Blanca in Spain. Yeah, I'm basically like 90 kilometers on the mainland. You've got Ibiza, and then 90 kilometers to the mainland. That's where that mountain is we were looking at the picture of before. That point that sticks out closest to Ibiza is what I'm on.
I don't see Ibiza though. Where's that?
It's the island to the right.
Oh, Ibiza. I've heard of that. So you're over here on this little point here?
Yeah.
So so it's south of Valencia. You're somewhere over here?
North of Alicante, yeah.
Alicante.
Yeah, and then someone else was talking about Steve Young, PhD in theoretical nuclear physics and quantum physics. He's a brilliant man. He's written a book debunking a lot of the mainstream narratives on a whole bunch of different subjects called A Fool's Wisdom. I could definitely talk to him about coming on. He's a close personal friend of mine.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Well, I'm not really a great researcher. I'm more of a collator. But one of the things that I learned early on in 2012, within 3 weeks, is 9/11 was the biggest deception ever perpetrated in the modern world, and it worked
until
2012. You figured that out?
Well, I was way behind. I was not.
Oh, definitely.
I know. Well, I didn't. I was a regular person.
I knew it the day it happened. But I had 6 months before I had read David Icke's book, The Greatest Secret Ever.
Well, you were way ahead of me. What can I say?
Yeah, that was like,
I'm a late bloomer. I hit puberty later. My voice changed later as well. Everything happened later for me, but I had no idea.
Better late than never.
I had no idea there was this other world out there. I never heard of David Icke in my life. It was just one day I did some research, and Alex Jones. My whole story's on fakeologist.com. But
now you're the fakeologist with 1,150 episodes.
No,
impressive.
It's well
made up for your lost time.
Well, it's actually well over 3,000 because we have these things called audio chats, which aren't all me. There are other people, but I've curated a lot of audio. Most of it's probably trash to some people, but it's okay. It's all there. You can go through it. A few brave souls have. But yeah, I woke up late, and that's fine. I still got wide awake real quick. But one of the things that I learned from 9/11 is that you could fool the whole world and no one would do anything about it. So I just looked at other scary things, and one of them was nuclear, because that was sort of the thing that kept me up at late at night all the time.
It's a good thing to talk with Steve Young about.
Yeah. So I thought, well, hey, if they can fake all these things, what else is big and scary? and nuclear war and splitting the world in half and nuclear annihilation and mutually assured destruction, MAD. And then I thought, well, what if they could just fake that? What if they could just say it existed? And
I coined the term prospiracy.
okay.
You've got conspiracy, which is negative, and there's all sorts of deep, dark, scary rabbit holes that people go down when they start to dig into different conspiracy theories, and it can leave a lot of people feeling distraught and afraid and wanting to head for the hills and collect guns. But there's a whole bunch of different conspiracy theories out there that when you actually dig into them, they leave you feeling more empowered. Like, for example, the no virus theory is not a theory, really. That's just, it's a fact at this point. But the mainstream scientific community is either not going to acknowledge it, or they're not smart enough to figure it out. But the nuclear power one was a big one for me.
What's your take on that? Because I go right down to
Well,
Madame Curie, which is an anagram or a way.
Marie Curie, Mercury.
Exactly. So I think that
it's all
I think
a hoax.
The whole story is,
and it's all based on Einsteinian physics, which is a crock of shit anyway. So that's the thing is that they have to have their fear factors in place in order to justify the military industrial complex and space travel and all of these different things, which are these massive money pits that we all pay into, whether we want to or not.
Yes.
So when it comes to, I mean, you and I guess, are about the same age, how many times did you worry about the bomb, dropping, or
all the time,
some psychopath hitting the button all the time? I mean, when I was in high school, not a day went by that I didn't think about mutually assured destruction.
Well, they made that hacking movie you talked about before.
Yeah, war games, talked about exactly that, So when you start to dig into the whole nuclear power thing and also the nuclear bombs, you find out that it's just a load of bull. Like, for example, they talked about nuclear winters, nothing would grow for thousands of years. Now, I'm not saying big bombs don't exist. Clearly that they've got, powerful kinetic bombs that can do incredible destruction, and they can include fire and napalm and whatever else they want to add to make it really bad. But when you start to look at Nagasaki and Hiroshima, people were already rebuilding right after the bombs dropped. There was no spike in cancer rates. Chernobyl is a thriving ecosystem, and that was a full-on meltdown, they claim.
Yeah,
and yet, there's 4K drone footage of Chernobyl that it looks like tropical practically. There's so much lush life there. If anything, radiation makes things grow bigger rather than kill them, and people have lived in Chernobyl the whole time, before, during, and after. Fukushima, there was these plumes of radiation that the satellites had filmed, and we might lose all life in the Pacific. Those were narratives that were being bandied about in the mainstream media, right? That's not a conspiracy theory. And that none of that happened.
Now, one little point that one of the contributors here found for us was that any large-scale explosion will produce a
mushroom cloud.
Well, not that as well, but a signature on a Geiger counter.
Yeah.
So
is that
just.
But what do you mean that's signature?
Well, how they have the Geiger counter going click 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 click. Well, it was how could his name escape me? Anyway, he found the paper showing that any large explosion, if you have a Geiger counter, it will give you exactly the same result. Yeah, if it's like a mine explosion, or that's it.
Yeah, and then you got Galen Windsor, who's like eating plutonium or uranium on stage, and it's like, are things that are radioactive destructive? Do they really lead to cancers? Or, it's just like, mercury is so bad for us, and that's why there's no mercury thermometers. But mercury was being used in all kinds of tech in the old world. They had these spires that had spherical shaped balls that were filled with mercury, and
Yeah, I'm not sure
there's
I want
probably
to be on Mercury. I'm not sure that's a good idea, but
Mhm.
what's your
Yeah.
take on nuclear power plants? What's your conclusion?
I've got a pretty interesting take. I think they're geothermal.
Okay, I like that.
So there's a interesting video by a channel called UAP. I can't remember the name of the video, but he was showing that a lot of the old world buildings. I don't know if you guys have gotten into the whole Tartaria stuff and
I
the
have.
world's fairs and mud floods and all these other. There's a whole bunch of rabbit holes that all link in and dovetail beautifully with the Earth-shaped skeptics as well. But basically, you had a lot of the Greco-Roman architectural structures that are all over the world, that are our Capitol buildings and our libraries and our post offices and all these, that this was the remnants of a former civilization that was worldwide, that was annihilated through cataclysm, and maybe multiple. And so a lot of these buildings, they weren't just massive and incredibly built and beautiful, but they also appear to have been forms of technology and a lot of different kinds of technology. So
Very clean
gathering
fireplaces.
energy from the ether, you know,
Okay, without all that though, what do you think they are? You say they're geothermal.
yeah. So
what?
back to, sorry, but I digress. So somebody just mentioned the archivist. He's a good friend of mine, and he's got an incredible channel, which I highly recommend. He
Simon
goes through all
Says?
the newspaper articles from before the Rockefellers took over publication and the educational system. And those articles are showing him. Yeah, that's him. That's an incredible channel.
Okay, so
yeah.
I'll watch. I'll
And
put a link to that in the show notes.
yeah, he's a good friend. I just got to hang out with him in person in Seattle not long ago. Yeah, so
That's cool.
back to the question of what do I think they are? Well, this video that I mentioned from UAP was highlighting an acceptance speech for a guy who was receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award for his work in air conditioning and heating and power systems of the old world buildings, particularly like in places like New York. And he was talking about how some of these old structures were powering themselves. And he described exactly how it was done. Not only were they probably pulling stuff out of the ether, but they were also drilling shafts down into the earth. And the further down you go, the hotter it gets, right? The deepest hole ever dug was the Kola borehole in Russia. It took them 20 years, and they didn't get beyond 8 miles. So 12 kilometers deep after 20 years of digging. And they just couldn't go any further. So if you go down far enough, things get very hot. And so if you imagine it like this, you drive a shaft down, and then you have a second shaft coming up.
Yeah.
The first shaft, you pump water into it. And a lot of these old world structures are either on rivers or they have access to unlimited water supply.
Yeah, most nuclear
So-
power plants are on the lake.
Yeah. Yeah. And they often are they put them in unstable places. Like Fukushima is where 3 different tectonic plates collide, right? So why would you put something so potentially dangerous on one of the most unstable grounds in the world? Well, probably because they're able to access stuff that they need through these fissures without as much work.
Okay.
But the point is this: if you boil water, it turns to steam, right? Do you know what the conversion rate is on that for 1 liter of water?
1,380 liters.
1,700, I think, is more accurate, but I could be wrong. Yeah. So for 1 liter of water, you get 1,700 liters of vapor, of gas. So that is not only can be used to heat the old buildings. They had these radiator systems, and that gas would be routed through all the radiators to the point where there's old articles where they talk about being able to have the windows open in these buildings in the middle of winter and still be comfortable. Right? So they're able to do that. They're also able to use that expansion of the gas in the same way that steam engines would. You know, the old locomotives, they're running on steam because that expansion can be used to turn turbines.
I just rode one at Dollywood last week. There's 2 steam
Yeah,
engines there.
they've
I talked to the
well
engineer.
built, still functioning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Built in
then the
Pennsylvania.
steam could be used not only to heat the buildings but also to power the buildings.
Right.
So they would have turbines in the basement floors of these
Yeah.
buildings. So all you need is an unlimited supply of water, and you
And heat
drill a
source.
shaft down and a second
heat
shaft
source.
for the gas to come out. So my guess is that's what nuclear power plants are. They're on these sites where they have access to the water, and we get the fear porn of nuclear power and nuclear bombs and all
And
that stuff,
why
and
do you
that's
think
why I
that
coined the term prospiracy, because
Well,
when you
that's
really
quite
dig into
profound,
it.
I think, Mike.
I like that. I like that a
Thank you.
lot. But the reason why they build the fear porn in is why? My guess is
Well, you justify cold wars and trillions of expenditures, and you also, a lot of this gets back into mining and my research, which we haven't touched on at all, but this manufactured scarcity, because we're
yeah, that's
told
right.
we live on this ball that has a specific
finite.
amount of resources,
That's
and finite, and once those are gone, and for decades they gave us fear about peak oil, and you never hear about that anymore because they're getting more oil than ever, and also oil
You gotta
fields that
keep
were
it off the
supposedly
market.
dried up.
That's why they got to keep Venezuela off the market and Guyana. They're
Well, no,
sitting on so much oil.
That's why you had to have the greenhouse problem.
The greenhouse gases.
Right, and then you get into your
Because the
carbon
only way
credits and all that
they could
bullshit.
stop the abundance of oil was to make it evil.
Well, I think also oil is something the Earth is generating.
I
They tell
agree
us
with
it's
that.
from melted dinosaurs from a 65 million year ago.
Yeah, but
comet
the
strike.
point I'm making is, as you said, it's abundant. It's abundant.
It is
Yeah,
abundant.
and it regenerates.
And it was
Like,
getting
there was an
and it
oil-
was getting and it was getting so abundant, and because these engines and use
And
of
what-
oil and petrol gives us basically total power
And you know what the same thing is with natural gas. It's
and natural gas.
It's so abundant they can't keep the price at a decent level. So now they've turned it into a combustion of all gases. Natural gas in particular creates this poison they call CO2, which makes up less than a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. But as long as they can convince people of that, then it goes back to electricity. So, okay, we have to use electricity. So where does that come from? Well, it comes from fake nuclear power plants. But they say they're dangerous, so we can't have lots of them. Otherwise, we'd all be drilling big holes in our backyard and pouring water down them. So
Well, this is
there
why
would
they
be-
did the prohibition of alcohol, right? It had
Exactly,
nothing to
same
do
idea.
it had nothing to do with people trying to
Drinking. It was a
stop the
fuel.
addiction. They didn't want people having their own distilleries in their homes because the Rockefellers were centralizing and taking over the oil industry.
I agree with
But
that.
I mean, oil as well. Like in my hometown in California, there was an oil field that I used to drive through on the way to the ocean.
Yeah.
And they pumped for years and years and then stopped for like 20 years. And then I went back on vacation to visit my family. And all of a
It's
sudden
replenished.
they're pumping again. It's
Yeah.
like, where'd all the oil come from? Didn't they drain it? It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, they'll probably say, oh, well, it seeps back in slowly. But yeah, it's all manufactured scarcity. It's all fear porn. They need these narratives in order to justify their trillions of expenditures for space programs. Because if we don't get off this rock soon, we might get hit by an asteroid, and then the whole human race is gone.
Yeah.
And
We got to get to Mars.
and we got to get to Mars. Like, there's something there to go to. It's just I don't even
illusion.
I don't believe the luminaries are physical
and who is
objects,
they in
but-
your opinion, Mike?
Oh, now we're getting somewhere.
What's that?
Who are they?
Who is they in your
Oh, the
opinion?
they.
Who's they?
I think at the highest levels, we're dealing with black wizards.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
You mean
I
their
think
skin is
I mean
black?
it's all secret society, occultic. It's black magic. It's they've rolled out all the black mirrors. We're all using our scrying devices every day, and that's where most of the illusion comes through. Like, if you turn off your TV and your computer and you just get out into nature, now you're dealing with the empirical world, which is what I've focused on my channel when it comes to the research. If it's on a screen now, you can't even tell if it's real or not. AI is so sophisticated in just a few years.
I agree. I just was watching the World Series. You watching the World Series? You baseball guy? You LA Dodger guy? You?
Once upon a time,
I
don't watch sports anymore.
Well, I just tuned in because our Blow Jays are back into it, And I was watching one of the commentators on ESPN. I don't watch TV because I don't have TV, but of course now it comes through the internet and streaming and all that. But I was watching one of the commentators, and I said this on the audio chat today, and he looked very cartoonish. And I thought, wait a sec, are they enhancing this guy? Does he have a lot of makeup? What's going on with this guy? I've never seen him before. I don't know who he is. He's on ESPN Sports, but he looked very cartoonish. Is AI enhancing the image and making his skin really smooth? Because now, of course, we have these 4 and 8K cameras. You can see every pimple on people's faces now. They're too clear. They're too
And at all of these events, it's
high
always
resolution.
like blurry footage, you know.
Oh, I know, but that's another topic. But what I'm getting at is this guy a real person? How long until we have avatars being the baseball commentators? We don't need these people. And then I thought, wow, in the future we could have our own baseball commentator. So I could tune into the Naked Women Baseball Network and have naked women do the baseball commentary. It'd all be avatars. Like, how close are we to this
Well,
complete
here's
simulation?
another thought to tweak
And
your
sorry,
brain
all
a
the
little
women in
bit.
the audience. I know
when
that's
it
kind of
comes
creepy.
when it comes to AI, the question is, how long have they had it? And have they created the illusion that there's this natural evolution that we're all witnessing? Because the first rounds of what was coming out were very primitive and they couldn't get the hands right and the eyes didn't look right. And then within 2 years now, we're at the point where it's almost impossible to discern, even if you're a discerning individual, which most people aren't.
Yeah.
So my question is, what if that organic development is actually bullshit and they've had this stuff for decades and they've been rolling out earlier versions to create the illusion of evolution? So we don't know how much going back 10 or 15 or 20 years of what has been out there has been real or not, if it's on a screen.
Well, it was good in that, what they did with CGI in 2001 was sufficient. The people's ability to discern and
that was modeling, though. That wasn't CGI necessarily.
Well, whatever you want to call it, was still a level of fakery.
Yeah.
It was really bad fakery when we look at it now. It was Sega Genesis graphics in a lot of ways, or modeling, or whatever it was.
But it was good enough.
Or it was a conflagration of all kinds of different whatever is available in technology.
And in 1945, it was the whatever that mountain is called, where they did the
Laurel
images.
Mountain, Laurel Canyon.
We have all the blotchy nuclear films.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's another example of the nuclear hoax. Is the early footage is all a joke if you just look at it with a critical eye.
But back then,
someone asked, what's the craziest?
When they needed to perpetrate the thing, that was fine.
It was whatever. Yeah, it's the minimum required to fool people.
I tried to show my kids like the Star Trek stuff before I woke up to a lot of the space fakery. I was like, oh, I'm going to watch, Star Trek with my kids, and they're going to grow up with these ideas that I, was so excited about. And they literally laughed me out of the room. They're like, these graphics are ridiculous. Look, you can see the string that the Enterprise is hanging from,
Really? I was always focused on Captain Kirk. He always gets the female alien. What's with that guy? See, we all focus on different things.
Remember
you guys are looking at strings from the sky. I'm looking at the hot alien. Why do the aliens why do they always look like humans? No creativity with their aliens on that show. Come on.
Yeah.
They all look like humans.
Budget. That's all they could afford.
Yeah.
Someone asked, what's the craziest conspiracy of all? Like a conspiracy theory that makes flat Earth seem like common knowledge. I would say Titanology, my research. In fact, David Weiss, Flat Earth Dave once said that he considered the stuff that I was presenting to be more disruptive than flat Earth. So that's coming from Flat Earth Dave. So check it out.
I'm not sure how the audience here at Fakeologist feels about Flat Earth Dave. I don't know if we have a strong opinion one way or t'other, but he does get a lot of flack, and he has been accused of many controlled opposition behaviors. I'm not sure. I don't really follow him too closely because, again, I was burned out on the flat Earth on the second year. But
And
No stamina.
anyone who gets any sort of following is gonna. I mean, if I rub my eye the wrong way, they're gonna be like, "Look, he's doing the Eye
Yeah.
of Horus." You know,
yeah,
I literally one
Well,
point
Dave J's already.
I move my glasses like this, and somebody was like, "He's doing the 666 sign." You know, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
so how am I supposed to adjust my glasses? You know, like,
Yeah, exactly.
it's just ridiculous. So
it does
Dave-
get
Dave
extended.
J's
to,
called the
you know,
7 code out on you before you've even finished the interview. So you're doing well.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about the 7 code until today, so that's
his
I'm
code.
excited now. I'm
I don't
like,
think
yeah,
it's
I can be guilty of another one.
It hasn't caught on really, but it's only caught on in his world. But
Oh no, Jungle Surfer's a fan of it.
Jungle Surfer, the guy from the Gold Coast of Australia. Okay, you're right. We have to get Jungle back on. He's a very interesting character as well. Actually,
Someone just asked, is there a link where I can read about Titanology? And it's a term that I created tongue in cheek because I was investigating Titans and presenting evidence in favor of them. And I also coined the term biogeology, going back to what Frank was talking about before with the banded iron and you know, if the things that I've been presenting on my channel, which have to do with Titans, gigantic trees, and instant petrification, and the idea that much of the stone that we see around the world was formerly biology, which even in the mainstream narrative, that's true, because they're saying that the layers of sedimentary stone and then metamorphic stone come about because of dead plant and animal life compressing over long, long periods of time. So even the mainstream narrative is telling us that ultimately geology was biology at one time. But I coined the term biogeology to like denote the distinction between mainstream geological narratives and what I was finding, which was a far more direct connection between biology and geology. In other words, that there have been cataclysmic events, probably involving things like plasma, possibly extreme volcanic activity, electrical storms, these kinds of things that turn things to stone, you know, very quickly. Not
for me,
not
the more
millions of
interesting
years.
The more interesting thing as a mining fellow is, you know, applying these things to making money, because, you know, for example, the Hangman and yourself talk about where the gold is in the trees.
Yeah, someone asked about that earlier in the comment thread. Yeah, I've got a video called "There's Gold in Them Thar Trees," you know.
Yep.
And
it's not just that. It's not just that, Mike. It's, as I said, we talked about the banded iron ore. The genesis of practically every mineral almost certainly pops up as being, in my opinion, what you talked about before, an animal of some kind. For example, kaolin,
or plant or tree.
The deposits of kaolin, if you look at them, they look like skin, and they overlie. You'll see a white kaolin deposit. So on the coast of Victoria, where I live, you'll see, I guess, up to an inch, a couple of centimeters thick of pure kaolinite covering over the top of what looks like a kind of blacky, fleshy looking thing. And then there's stuff they call basalt, which may be liver. It's everywhere.
Well, you know, there's 4 different types of kaolin clay, and they match the colors of the 4 root races, which is interesting as well. So I think you're on, you know, definitely onto something when it comes to the
sorry, this is not, but this is not anything that I have discovered on my own. I've listened to people such as yourself talk about these things, and then I go out and observe them. You know, like you talk about the heartstones. There's another fellow, his name escapes me, but he called Alan. He used to
Flat Earth Nation.
Flat Earth Nation.
Actually, they took his channel down. He had about 10,000 subs, and they yanked it.
Yeah.
And now he's called Mud Flood Was Armageddon.
Mud Flood Was Armageddon.
So him and Roger Spur are kind of rivals. And
I've kind of turned off Roger Spur because of his NASA. He's literally gone into space.
He has lost the plot, in my opinion, on a variety of levels, but he's got a huge following, and it's cult-like, and
Yeah,
anytime
but
I start
Alan
talking about this stuff, people come in and they're
Alan
like,
would
"Oh,
dissolve these rocks he found in acid, and you'd see the parts
yeah,
appear. Just amazing.
yeah." And I was the one who spotted and recognized this pattern in the stones that matches up with heart anatomy to
Yeah.
a crazy degree, and it's
But even the eye,
scalable,
stuff
repeatable
that you picked out, that's incredible. Where you talk about the eye socket
of the mountain.
of the elephant. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just the eye alone, its shape, its position, the internal structures, and very, very specific anatomical features inside the eye socket. All of that combined, there's over 20 anatomical correlations just with the eye. I've documented over 50 with the mountain.
Now, my guess is that the people that run the big mining companies, etc., actually know all this.
I think
really
so too.
They
Or at
just
least
really
at the highest levels.
At the highest levels, and we just get
Yeah.
spun off into la la land, while they go about exploiting the minerals
Yeah.
that we don't get, simply because their models of how it all works are correct, and ours are just full of nonsense.
There was a time I was in South Africa, and I went to dinner at the parents of friends, and this man's dad worked in the mining industry, and you have the deepest mines in the world in Africa.
And they're hot. By the way, they're also very hot, and they have to have pump refrigerated air down there to work back up your earlier thing.
He told us some crazy stories about these, and there are shafts that just go down literally miles. And he said that there were sections there that they hadn't dug. So that means there was previous civilizations that had done this mining, and then they had done
King
other
Solomon.
stuff. Yeah. Are you familiar with the Action Adventure twins? These guys that are spelunking some of the deepest caves in the world. Have you ever heard of them?
Are they on YouTube?
Yeah, they are. The Action Adventure twins. It's crazy, the stuff that they are doing. So I was already looking at the evidence in favor of the giant trees. I've got a video on my channel called Spelunking Titans.
Okay, that's cool.
Wow.
The tunnels of Nashville. I've heard that before.
And the giant vagina and so on. That's another incredible thing to me.
I think a lot of what Roger Spur thinks are giant vaginas are actually they're knots in trees. If you look at, there's a lot of stuff that a
lot of people prefer Roger's answer.
Yeah. He loves the giant petrified penises and vaginas. There's no doubt about it.
What guy likes a giant?
Videos about.
I've never met a guy that liked a giant vagina. Just saying. We just lost.
There goes the remaining ladies.
There's the one lady.
That's the end of the.
Sorry, Kate Emma. Can we get back to your the hacking?
He doesn't want to talk about this. No, I thought this was why you brought me on. We can talk about the hacking all you want. This is the first time in the 7 years that I've been doing this research that I actually have a marketable product, because I haven't sold anything. People have asked me if I wanted to sell them the stones, and it's just like I haven't been trying to make money off of this stuff at all. But now that I have a book.
What's it called?
Right, it's called The Hacker Prince.
Yeah. Can you
talk about
it anymore? Honestly, is that
people do buy them, and some even read them? I read a book today, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I did.
I just want to hear about.
They're like iPads made of wood.
I just want to hear the jail story to make sure you went to jail or didn't go to jail, because as he said, we were questioning the.
This is all he wants to know. Did they bugger me while I was there?
No. You didn't drop the soap, did you? That's only in the movies.
I didn't shower. I went 2 weeks without showering. No,
You're only in there for 2 weeks.
they
What-
were
what-
worried about putting me in county because I was so youthful. At 19 I looked like I was more like 15. So
Oh boy.
there was a little concern for my safety. So I ended up being put in what was essentially like a holding cell for drunk drivers and that sort of thing. It was a
Okay.
real jail with real jail doors and everything, but it wasn't. It was not hard time in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it was kind of fun because I had this steady flow of new people because they'd be staying a night or two,
Yeah, it's the booking
whatever
jail.
they were.
So you're in the county jail where they bring in the new. It's the fresh intakes.
Yeah, this was not county. This was Kent, the Kent jail, just
Okay.
a tiny little place, and you had to pay to stay there. So the judge dropped my 2 weeks to 1 week when he found out that I was actually going to have to pay as if I was staying in a hotel. He's like, "All right, we'll just give him 1 week." So I was originally sentenced to 2, but I only had to do 1 week. So there you go. That was my hard time. And basically, I spent the whole week just like telling people my hacking stories, which they were enthralled. So.
Did they tell you should write a book?
They did, and I finally got around to it. It only took me 40 years. So
Oh, nice.
I'm not the fastest.
You should have paid someone else to do it if you couldn't do it yourself, Elliot. Well, but presumably your
Nobody
criminal
could have
record
done this,
affected your life in several ways, did it?
Yeah, I actually have a clean record now because it was a deferred sentence. So after I served my 2 years probation, it's wiped. I'm sure intelligence agencies could dig it up, but it wouldn't show up on a general search for prior offenses. But years later, I was living in Rome, teaching English, and I got bored doing that, and so I started looking for more interesting work. Sent out a bunch of resumes to different tech companies.
Yeah.
Figured, why not? And IBM called me up for an interview. So I ended up going to work for IBM for a year in Rome.
And what did you think?
It was boring AF. That's what I thought. And I knew after that I never wanted to work in tech again. And that's why I went back to school to become a chiropractor. I wanted to do something way more dynamic than just sit in front of a screen all day long. But
nice.
The funny thing was, it was like they never asked and I never told. So they had no idea who was in their midst.
Don't ask, don't tell.
But it's kind of interesting to me that after all this, you end up not even in anything vaguely techo. You're not the next Bill Gates because you basically thought it was boring.
Yeah, I was never into the programming aspect of it. For me, it was more about the social engineering, like getting inside the minds of people and trying to get them to give you the information. That's a lot easier. Kevin Mitnick, the most famous hacker of all time, he once said that the human element is the weakest element in any security system. So, you can have the best computer security in the world, and if your people are not well trained, they're going to fall for easy stuff and give away things that you're trying to keep them from giving away.
Oh wait, Kevin just died a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
What was his story? I must have missed that one.
Oh, they raked him over the coals. He made them look stupid for a long time. And so the first time he went to jail, the prosecuting attorney convinced the judge that he was so dangerous that he could whistle tones into a payphone and potentially start World War III.
Oh boy.
And so because of that, they couldn't put him in the general areas because that's where all the inmates had access to the payphones so they could collect calls to call their loved ones. So they couldn't have him in those areas because he was such a threat. So what did they do? They threw him in solitary confinement for 9 months.
Oh.
So he was in for hacking charge, and he was in solitary confinement for 9 months. Can you imagine?
But he was really there because he must have
he pissed off a bunch of people. Yeah.
But by claiming his sovereign right or something, sovereign citizen.
I haven't heard about that. He was trying to
I'm just
maritime versus. Oh, okay. I thought you.
I'm just speculating that sort of thing.
Yeah.
He probably had uncovered
the second time they caught him. Oh, sorry.
So what the hell did any of these guys do? They copied software.
Oh, he was doing a lot more than that, and a lot of the hackers were engaging in credit card fraud. I did some of that when I was in my teens, so I wasn't entirely moral in my
What did you buy?
my
You
approaches.
get anything good?
I bought a bicycle at one point, but karma took it away from me. So I talk a lot of, it might sound like we're glorifying things that I did, but I talk about it from a very sober perspective. That I'm 40 years later, adult me is the narrator. So I've got the first person of the exciting adventures that I was engaging in, but then the narration is from a much more mature perspective. So I'm talking about my motivations and rationalizations and justifications. And so it's not a glorification of criminal activity at all.
No, I agree.
There's some exciting chapters.
The other famous fraudster that there was a movie about that I watched him speak is this guy.
People who've read my book said it reads a lot like that.
But this video that I just started watching,
Frank Abagnale.
But this guy did a deconstruction, Vince Vantage, whoever he is, on YouTube, and he says the whole thing is a hoax. All the things he said he did, he never did. He was just a creep.
Oh, really?
So he broke this down. So the actual guy who said he was pretending to be a pilot and all that, it's just he's just a petty criminal that was just stalking some woman. But most of his stories are completely fake. So the fake it's a fake.
Then it makes sense that DiCaprio would play him because he loves to champion fake shit.
Yeah, well, all these actors are great at it. So if you want to watch the breakdown, add this to your pile of skepticism, because now we have.
I'll definitely watch that.
I'll put a link to it. I sort of I watched. I don't think I watched the DiCaprio movie, but I watched this guy's story, and now he makes $30,000 an appearance talking about his story. But his story is just that. It's a total story.
Maybe that's what I should charge.
Well, yeah, you get famous, and then you do speaking tours and engagements, mostly corporate work, where you go. It's just sort of to motivate people. And so this guy was a spoofer, a hacker of in a sense. They said he couldn't even do a good job creating fake ID. He was terrible. So it's all crap. So I don't know. Take a look at this.
Oh, the more you pay, the more it's worth, Mike. That's all you need to know.
All the stuff that's in my book, I've got receipts for. So I didn't. It's called The Hacker Prince: A True Story because I didn't have to embellish it all. It was okay. It was pretty crazy.
So when was it all over in your head? But when did it end?
It was all over in '86 when after. I mean, I had the jail time in '86. I had that interview that was in the clip we played at the beginning. And I stepped away from it. I walked away from hacking. I never went back. I knew if I reoffended that the penalties with the new laws would be so stiff that I could end up in prison for years if I did that again. So I just walked away from it. I left my entire social life behind because all of my good friends were hackers up until that point.
Did any of them get
I didn't even own a computer for a few years after that. What's that?
Did any of your friends get
whacked?
Yeah, a bunch of them got busted. But it was like 5 years later. There was a whole sting that the government organized called Operation Sun Devil. I talk about that in the book, where they served warrants on 27 different properties simultaneously and busted a whole bunch of people, and lots of court cases ensued. But I went
presumably some of them actually set up criminal rings and did some pretty heavy stuff, I assume.
I don't think the people that I knew were doing heavy stuff. I think they were just tech enthusiasts, and they things like credit.
I still don't really see the victims of these crimes, honestly. I think it's white collar. It's very
the biggest criminals by far are the government and the military industrial complex and all. I mean, they're committing crimes to the tunes of trillions, right? They need their scapegoats like Gary McKinnon, who we mentioned before, the hacker from the UK, They
Mhm.
caught him in 2001 for breaking into the Pentagon, NASA, and the Department of Defense. He got into 90 different systems, and they made him look like an evil mastermind who was one of the most dangerous men on earth, because really he embarrassed the hell out of him. He basically wrote a simple Perl script that would ping all of the different computers on their network with passwords like password or blank or 1 through 8, you know, and he got into 90 systems using a Perl script. But they couldn't exactly say that on the nightly news, because, you know, how dumb is that going to make the Pentagon look, right? And so they made him out to be this evil mastermind, and they were trying to extradite him for a decade from the UK. There were politicians that were calling for the death penalty because he was so evil. I kid you
Oh,
not.
don't you remember
right?
this, Tim? That was.
He's
I
still-
remember this. I remember this vividly. All this stuff.
He still can't leave the UK, because any of the other countries that have extradition treaties with the US can nab him and ship him off to the US. So Theresa May ratified the extradition treaty based on his case, to prevent him from having to worry about, you know, getting yanked out of the UK. So I'm really thrilled that Gary McKinnon wrote the foreword to my book. Actually,
He's the godfather.
He's a really awesome guy. But yeah, they demonize the heck out of him. It's the same thing with Aaron Schwartz. I don't know if you've heard of him. There's a wonderful documentary called The Internet's Own Boy. It's all about his life. He was the one who started Reddit, and he was a big champion for free speech and decentralization, and you know, I mean, the original founding principles of the government, you know, I mean, of the US, you know, the government that governs least governs best, that kind of thing. And, you know, we don't need this centralized control, because it can be, you know, utilized by nefarious fucktards, you know, which it is. So anyway, yeah.
I'm trying to find the Gary McKinnon interview again that you did with him.
It's search for Hackers from Heaven. It might come up.
Okay, YouTube is terrible for searches. Hackers from Heaven. Okay, I'm gonna put that on my list to watch your conversation. Okay.
Yeah, that's a fun conversation.
Many of you. That's smart that you labeled it in such a way that it's easier to find, because if you just put Gary McKinnon, good luck finding it. For all the intelligence of the people at Google and whatnot, the internet is still hard to use. It's not good. It just gets to a level of incompetence and stops, like Windows. It just doesn't get better in my mind. So many things are lousy. So many things are too hard to do on the internet. That's what I'm trying to say.
Gary McKinnon introduced me to Asperger's, which I still don't believe in. Oh, it's spelled with 2 S's. That's why I don't know.
He's trying to be funny.
Asperger's. Yeah.
That's Napoleon Wilson,
Yeah.
a very famous fakeologist.
I think Asperger's and ADHD and ADD and all these things, I think they're just constructs to sell drugs, and what you're looking at are the mental dysfunctions that come about as a result of all the technology that we're using, and all the different ways in which society is totally screwed up right now.
Wait, you're
What
letting
about having too much
off the hook?
What about having too much salt?
Wait! I don't want to let him get away with that one.
Oh yeah, no, I think that there's loads of damage that's done by the shots, without a doubt. And
my favorite
it messes with
explanation-
our neurology and
Yeah, that's
things.
exactly what it is. Because what happens is, I think the poison concentrates near the brainstem, and when that area is deprived of oxygen, as the white blood cells go chasing after the poison, those neurons get short-circuited and or die. And when you break a circuit, it's basically an open circuit, so it keeps firing the wrong information to the brain. So for instance, if that's the area that tells the brain that your skin is touching something hot, it stays on hot. So you can imagine why these poor children are walking around on the balls of their feet, because they think they're on fire, etc., etc. So it's literally like,
and then you have all the demyelinization that's happening as well as a result of the toxins. So
right, yeah. So
yeah,
but I think
the
electrical system's gone haywire.
I think a lot of what we call, I think definitely autism, Asperger's, that's an explanation, but I think a lot of what we call like ADD and ADHD is just a symptom of like the dopamine addiction and the swipe culture and, people's attention spans. And then you get all these kids that don't get proper exercise because their new PlayStation is not the jungle gym outside like it used to be.
Yeah.
It's
But
video games.
but
The
these things
diets are
exhibit
horrible.
way younger than that. I think that these poor kids are destroyed right at their wellness checks at 6 months or even before on day one, hour one with the vitamin KKK shot. So I just think it's terrible. We're destroying human beings at such a low, because young children can't explain what the problem is until they're old enough, say 5, 6 years old, or maybe 3 or 4, just to explain what the hell has gone on with them. Once they're poisoned, then they can't really describe anything that we can work with to try and resolve the problem. And to me, it's just a physical disability more than anything, and it's just terrible. But anyway, that's enough anti-vax talk for for this chat.
How many bannings have you had now? Just with this one talk alone?
Yes, we've been banned all over YouTube. Well, we're still streaming live on YouTube. We got a pretty good crowd on YouTube, even though this is not our normal time. Our normal time's 8 o'clock, and I'm gonna have to tell the Prophet of Fiction we're gonna have to move it because I can't.
I didn't know you were streaming on YouTube. I could have streamed it from my.
Yeah, I should have told you. That's my fault. But yeah, we could have done a joint thing through Restream. It's actually really handy and dandy. So I think we're gonna have to have you back on again, if you want, if you're interested, and we could do a joint Restream and maybe join our audiences a little more. Because
I won't do it unless you dig into my research, though, because clearly you haven't. If you had, you'd want to talk about it. And every time we've started talking about it, you've changed the subject. So clearly you don't want to talk about it.
Well, that's why Frank come along. Frank
knows what he's talking about. I'm not sure about you anymore.
Well, that's fine. Well, no, that's why you got a choice. I stayed quiet for a pretty good length of time, I think. I let Frank carry the thing.
Actually, I'd like to talk to Frank more with his.
He doesn't have a show, though.
You'll enjoy yourself here.
And Frank doesn't have a show. I got the show. I got the keys. But you know what? Everyone
got the keys to the kingdom.
Everyone has a YouTube channel. Come on, Frank.
My thing that got me into all this was actually I was a salt seller.
Like salt mines.
And then I
here we go. Let's get some salt talk.
And then I got told salt was bad for me and all that sort of stuff. But I was selling tens of thousands, 100,000 tons of salt each year to animal husbandry. It's one of the biggest markets for salt. And I thought, well, what's the story there? Why is it okay for animals but bad for me? Because when I joined the salt company, my family and friends thought I'd become a killer. I was going to kill everybody with salt. And and I've just sort of followed that path and realized that everything we're told about health, etc., is just completely a lie, inverted 100%. And salt's just another one of those things where the more you have, the longer you live, is what the actual science says. But you don't get that story. And after that, it was just off.
So what do you think the salt mines are?
Well, they are definitely animals.
I used to think that. I'm of a different mind now, and I can
what do you think?
I can show visual evidence if you want me to share a screen.
Sure. You know how to share your screen. Do you know how to share your screen?
Yeah, I can do that. Hold on, let me just open PowerPoint.
Share your screen, young man. Have you enjoyed the show so far? Have we been an interesting?
Oh yeah, you guys are a hoot to talk with. I'm enjoying this. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I think you don't have to explain anything to us. That's why.
There's been multiple times where I've set records on podcasts for like the longest episode they've ever had. Not because I like to talk, but there's just so much to go through when it comes to the research and the things that I show, that it's like I've done a lot of live presentations in the last couple of years. I just 2 months ago I got back from Australia, Serbia, and London.
We've got a caller in her.
Ooh,
You got to call her in, or it's
I
someone.
didn't know that was a thing.
We take phone calls here, and
We don't have to if you don't want to. But
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Go
if
ahead.
you don't want to talk to someone from where you were born, because that's who's calling in, you got Puget Sound calling in. So
I was
you-
born in California, but
Okay, but
yeah,
were
I was
you-
busted in Seattle.
Oh, you were busted. Do you want to talk to
Yeah.
someone from the Olympic Peninsula there?
Sure, why not?
All right, I'm just warning you. It may be completely off topic, but okay. Here we go. Oh, here we go.
41 seconds.
Caller in, or what's your name and where are you calling from? And of course, why are you calling?
Brian from Mercer Island, Washington, spitting distance from Kirkland.
Okay.
That's where I was busted.
Do you have a question for our esteemed guest tonight? Is it interesting to you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
And you invited him back on, and before he comes back on, he gave you a little
Homework.
a little homework. And so I'm going to give him a little homework because I'm not going to give him enough time to type it into a chat GPT to answer. He mentioned totalitarian takeover and totalitarianism, and I got an ism for you, and I hate to put you on the spot, but if you're going to come back on, Alvarado, Tim has had about a half dozen guests on his show, so that would be one place that you could look into this word called communitarianism.
Communitarianism?
That's right.
And type in communitarianism and biochar, and you get a picture of an old guy almost getting hit by a tree that he tried to fell. That's really funny.
Well, biochar is a subject dear to. Have you ever had Topher Gardner on? Christopher Gardner? He's like the biochar dude.
I thought Brian, this caller, was the biochar dude. Are you saying there's a better biochar dude?
Well, I don't know.
What?
I don't mean to start a competition, but no.
I do.
Topher Gardner is he's got a great podcast called Biocharisma, and he's a great interviewer
and Brian,
he's a real savant.
Come on, Brian.
Biocharisma.
I know. I want to see if there's biochar Brian and communitarianism getting hit by a tree. But
hey, I can see somebody in the chat room asking your guest, what did you present talking about at Anarcho Poco?
I spoke specifically on the subject of the giant trees. I only had 45 minutes on stage, so I couldn't. There are four main topics on my channel: titans, giant trees, rapid petrification, and the heartstones. And each one of those I need like 45 minutes to talk about. So I just focused on the mountains of empirical evidence in favor of the big trees. So a lot of people think of Devil's Tower, which is, you know, these columnar basalts that are stretching up that we're told is cooled lava, that there was a rapid cooling that caused an expansion that led to this hexagonal shape to the columns, and that those, along with the tabletop mountains around the world, are data points in favor of the tree hypothesis. But there's way more than that, which most people are completely unaware of. And I started to touch on it before when I mentioned the Action Venture twins, because they're going down these channels, which I believe are the root structures of the former trees. So there are tons of data points that are all empirical based and I was actually just about to show. Let me show some here.
Show the salt.
I'll share the entire screen and I'll go straight to the salts.
Hey, did you meet Jeff Berwick?
I did. I've met him 3 times because I spoke twice at Liber as well in Serbia. I just posted my presentation that I gave in Serbia. I just posted it on my channel. I think it's the most recent video on my channel.
What's your
So I
take?
Oh,
I think I'm echoing your channel.
yeah, that's because I'm sharing screen. So, how do you make it not echo? Because when I do that,
I'm not.
You've got to
just
highlight
won't-
when you share screen. You've got to highlight the one.
Yeah, I did. I did that. I highlighted it. Maybe
not
I'll
sure.
just share a window. Maybe let's see if that helps.
Yeah,
If
you
I
can.
share-
I'll turn the volume off on the screen. Is there audio on it?
Is there echo now, or is it better?
Well, I haven't looked at it yet.
It's come up now, Mike.
Yeah,
We
it's
can
okay
see
now.
Reality,
echoing.
can you hack it? Is what we've got.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
echoing through your screen, so you're good now.
Right. So I just shared the window as opposed to the whole screen, so that helped. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Good. Let's see. So,
So you think
and
Jeff is the real deal? In terms of
I don't know if the only person I'm certain about is myself.
Okay, that's a good answer. That's a good answer.
I think he's an interesting guy, a likable character, but I mean,
Hold time.
there's a lot to be
Seconds.
suspicious of with a whole bunch of different people. So
Yeah. Hey, we got the show booker on. Brian, we got Anna on. I gotta talk to Anna now, the show booker who booked this great guest.
But
hi Anna.
I gave somebody enough time to chat GPT communitarianism. So
I got it on the video. I brought up the video.
he brought it up. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm having.
I wrote it down for checking later, but I didn't.
He's gonna work on it, Brian.
Yeah, hold
You're
on. I
good,
shared
man.
the wrong
Thanks,
screen.
Brian,
here.
thank you for crowbarring that in. Get Jenna to call. I like her voice better. That's his wife, girlfriend, or
Okay.
Anna. Hello.
Hi, I'm just trying to save the show because I'm interested in what Mike's saying about his research. So I'm trying to get back on track. And I did a question earlier. Mike, has your research changed your spiritual philosophy from before you researched to now, or is it the same? And I'm just going to hang up, but I just wanted to ask that question.
Yeah, I would say definitely. I was always a believer in a creator. I believe we live in a created realm, but I had a much more abstract vision of the creator, which was more akin to like the Star Wars Force. That there's just this underlying ground of energy that pervades all things, and that was God in my mind. But I never really thought of us living inside of a consciously created realm. I do now. I'm not of any particular religious faith and denomination or anything like that, but I definitely believe that that this is a created realm. And yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, she hung up, but Anna's
Okay,
responsible
okay.
for bringing you on, so we thank Anna.
Well, thank you for the invite, Anna. So let me just go straight to the. You see that? You see the screen now?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that the marble caves and the salt mines are actually former tree, and you can see all the layering.
Yep.
And I know that there's a lot of, like, particularly the Himalayan salt that has this pinkish color that has a very fleshy look to it. But these are the marble caves here.
Yep.
And we're told that all of this stuff is happening through sedimentary layering and compression, but how does that explain concentric rings then? Right? How does this kind of stuff form if things are just laying down, and compressing over long periods of time? I
and
think
it also
makes,
and what's consistent with that is a lot of the largest deposits are in the Himalayas or the Himalayas, depending on what school you went to.
Mm-hmm.
Where you have those giant mountains probably are trees, aren't they? The Himalayas are probably.
Yeah, I think a lot of the biggest mountains in the world are tree. These tabletop mountains, like the Tepuis in Venezuela. I'll show pictures of those in a moment. But here you can get a taste of this. Looks, it looks very much like tree grain in every way, like the knots of a tree. So I used to think that it was Titan flesh, but now I lean towards former tree.
Yeah.
And there's so many sites around the world that if you just look at it with different eyes, like this one here, you see that this is clearly tree grain and tree knots. And the idea that this was formed through some kind of sedimentary layering is absurd, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah.
And you can really see the detail when he pans back. Like, that's obviously wood, but it's not. It's stone now, right? So it was wood once upon a time. This is the banded iron that you were talking about.
Yes.
And so if you think about the sedimentary layering model, then we have to buy the idea that the Earth did something red for a while, and then it went to white, and then it went back to red, and then it went to white. And it's just doing that over and over and over again, and you're never going to get.
But look how much that looks like meat.
Yeah, but it also looks like tree as well. And when I go, into great detail with the tree stuff, this is kind of how it all started for me. This documentary here was looking at these tabletop mountains, and you can see that there's a lot of structures around the world that if you just look at them with new eyes, like those,
and water flows over the top of them. Through
endlessly, and it's not
the old roots,
and it's not coming from rainfall. It's categorically impossible that it's rainfall.
Yeah.
So those are coming up through what they call artesian wells. Oftentimes they're using these anatomical terms to describe geology, which is also a fascinating thing. But even if you bought the sedimentary layering model, how do you explain these concentric rings here, right? If things are layering down this way, then why would you get these concentric rings? These are just questions that I asked along the way.
It's like a big tree.
Well, your problem is that you don't understand geology properly.
Right. I'm suffering from the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah.
Right. I know a little bit about something, so now I think I'm an expert. So I've founded my own ology.
If you want to understand,
hey, I'm all for that. Fakeology. So anyone that's
right,
we ologist,
birds of a feather.
Yeah, exactly. I had no word for my study, and I just made it up. And then, of course, Donald Trump stole the word fake from me, and really kind of made it stinky. But yeah, I was calling media fake before he was.
This is, I think, one of the most obvious examples, but this is a hotly contested subject. The idea that this might have been a tree stump. Roger Spur thinks it's the Achilles tendon of a Titan, and I would say, where's the rest of the Titan? And
well, he showed you it's all over to the right there. It's all splashed down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but the mainstream narrative is also ridiculous. They're saying the Earth was this tall before, and then lava came up and rapidly cooled, probably like the event that led to the Siberian permafrost and all the mammoths getting frozen, and then over 50 million years of time, all of the Earth just vanished to where I don't know, exposing this. That's the mainstream story, but obviously the mythologies are talking about the world tree. We have these old maps with the 4 continent system and what they call Rupus nigra at the center. There's all these truth drops in Hollywood, of things like Avatar-sized trees, that it's on another island that they're going to mine for unobtainium, and they're killing all the indigenous peoples in the process. Like, sounds familiar, but this is what the ancients believed. And when it goes back, when you look at the Devil's Tower and you just think about lava, this is what lava does. There's never a straight line anywhere in lava, right? And yet, through a process which no one can witness and can't be reproduced in any kind of an experimental setting, lava supposedly created these structures. And how do you get the columnar basalt, and then you have an even larger hexagonal structure? Like that. That's how plant life grows, right? And then you get all these these swirls. This is Devil's Tower or Devil's Post Pile. I got to climb up on top of that as a kid. And so
Where's
even
that?
if you buy the mainstream narrative with that, how do you explain structures like this? Or this?
Well, the way you explain it is you go to Princeton.
Oh,
And
yes.
you
And you talk to
spend the rest
geologists
of
who've
your-
been brainwashed by their paradigm.
You spend 28 years getting to your position of professor. And then when you realize you're going to lose your job if you tell the truth, you explain it. You become very creative at.
Yes.
It's too bad we don't have Gaia. He was our fakeologist geologist.
Oh, I've had run-ins with Gaia.
Oh, you know who that is?
That guy's a prick.
Oh, how did you connect with Gaia?
Oh, he was in a Discord that I was in years ago, and he started mocking me because of the things that I was talking about with limestone on the mountain. And he said, if you just look at it with your naked eye, you'd be able to see that limestone is formed from compressed shell and mollusk and coral, and these have been compressed over millions of years of time, and that's how the limestone layering has formed. And I'd been hiking the mountain for 10 years at that point, and yeah, he's just like he wouldn't look at any of the information. He's just mocking it because of his great knowledge of geology. And so I went out with a 1000x microscope to look at the limestone up close, and there are no hints of any of those things in any of the limestone. But what it does match up to perfectly is bone, and not only the structure of bone, a particular type of bone called trabecular bone, but there's also red earth, iron ore, and quartz all over the mountain, and that's the components of blood. So I mean, look at this site. Tell me that what you just saw was formed through the cycle of petrogenesis, which is, layering down like what you see here. And even if you buy that, you have to throw it out because this was formed in about 6 hours when Mount St. Helens erupted. So all of our narratives about sedimentary layering are potentially false, because if you think of the ring of fire going off all at the same time, like hundreds or thousands of volcanoes erupting simultaneously, what's that going to do to the surface of the earth, with your pyroclastic flows?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And the other problem is there's no record of any volcanic activity before Vesuvius.
Were you able to hear the sound there?
No,
Yes.
I didn't. Wait, did I
Yeah.
hear?
No, I think I turned it off so there was no echo.
I didn't hear any sound, no.
Okay. Yeah, no, he's just talking about that. That guy is a geologist, and he's saying this is such an anomalous thing because, we thought that these take tens of thousands, if not millions of years to form. But here, with the slurry flows of the Mount, Mount St. Helens eruption, these formed in a matter of hours. So if it can form in hours there, then how much of what we see around the world? I mean, when you go to the mainstream narratives about the age of things, they're giving us this. Right? They know how old things are because of what layer they're in, but they know how old the layer is based on what's in the layer. So you get circular reasoning there.
And then they find a bone that passes through 4 of the layers or 5 of the layers.
Right. There's also trees that pass through multiple layers. I can't remember the name of that particular kind of tree, but yeah. So that means that as those layers are laying down, that tree would have had to have survived, extremely long periods of time without being eroded or destroyed. So that's the cycle of petrogenesis: sedimentary layering, metamorphic rock, then it becomes magma, it gets spit out, becomes igneous rock, and then we have all the plant and animal life again that are dying, and it's just like rinse and repeat. And that's how all of the stone on Earth is supposedly formed. And with some of those images that I showed before, I think the notion is absurd. This is what bone looks like here. You can see this trabecular bone is what this is called. This is what it looks like under a microscope. This is what I was presenting that Gaia was mocking. And I was showing these different structures and showing that there's channels that are bifurcating. So the mainstream narrative is that this is formed through water erosion, but that's categorically impossible because water doesn't like flow and then like make right-hand turns and start carving channels, right? So and looking at these stones up close, there's no hint of fossil in any of it. But what it does match up with perfectly is bone on a very large scale. And here you would see the cortical bone, which is the thick portion, the sides, where there's very little vascularity. There's no blood vessels going in there. But the cortical bone is going to be thick blocks like what you see up here, and there's going to be very few channels. And you can see this one has a chunk broken off, and there's literally red earth coming out of a small channel here. So that's when I started looking at blood composition, the breakdown of, you got your red blood cells, you have your blood plasma, which when you take all the water out of blood plasma, looks a lot like quartz crystal. And what's all over this mountain? Stone that looks like this with iron ore caked to it, red earth in the channels, and lots and lots and lots of quartz crystal. And for people,
well, for what it's worth, I have similar conflicts with that man.
Gaia.
Okay, nice
with
to
Gaia,
know
because
that,
just on the simplest thing, he tells me he's a geologist, and I said, well, if you're a geologist, then you spend your working life assuming the Earth is flat, because you must be making computer models of your ore bodies. And if you are, those computer models assume that all points of equal height or above or below sea level, reduced level, are on a flat horizontal plane. All of the computer modeling is done on that basis. All of the digital terrain models, the images of topography, they're all, if you look on the screen and if you look at the arithmetic and the mathematics of all of those computer programs, all surveying programs, road generation, anything, it's all assumes
a stationary, non-rotating Earth.
Yeah, and that all points of an equal height above sea level lie on a flat horizontal plane. Yeah. And he just won't admit that he even makes ore body models for that reason. So you end up with a complete impasse where people are not going to be straightforward in their comments. I
didn't find him to be a man of integrity.
Well, he's not there, as far as I can work out, to have a discussion at all. There's some kind of disruptive aspect to his behavior.
No, he's
and
not.
Hopefully,
he
us talking about him this way will bring him back onto.
We don't know where he went.
Yeah, I'm not missing much. Sorry, I've got strong opinions about that guy.
You really had some mix-ups. He must have been on your Discord because he left ours years ago, so must have
it was
transferred over.
The Discord he was on no longer exists. It got yanked at some point, but so I mean, when it comes to my research on the mountain, just to give people a sense of how in depth it is. I was looking at the scientific method. I thought this is a crazy idea. I started on Google Earth initially, looking at the photos, and I noticed, wow, it looks like a rib cage. The eye is in the right place. There are these cutouts where the head would meet the shoulder. Looks like a spine. There's actually a deep canyon right between where legs would be. Already that was up to like 10 anatomical features just looking on Google Earth. And I'd been up to the eye socket on multiple occasions before this. So I just thought, okay, let's follow the scientific method. I got out my anatomy books. I started to really go back and refresh my memory on the anatomy of the eye socket, which I learned in school. And you can see here, there's 7 different bones that make up the eye socket. And they have these very specific meeting points and openings called fissures and sutures. And so I looked at elephant skull anatomy. And there's this hole right here that is in the elephant skull. We have it right there. It's much smaller and more medial, but in the elephant, it's right there. And so then I noticed on Google Earth that there's a hole in that exact spot. And this is exactly what it looks like looking through it. So already, like, just looking on Google Earth, I was blown away, because there's a concept called pareidolia, where something looks like something, but it really isn't something. And I was already well aware of that. And I'm like, is this pareidolia? But the longer your list of specific anatomical features gets, the less likely something is to be pareidolia, or at least it should work that way, right? Unless we're in a simulation, or, you know, the creator is messing with me. What were you going to say?
Getting back to the conspiratorial aspects, didn't Google actually change the flyover image at one stage?
Yeah, I'll show that in a second, but let me just show. Here's 3 very specific features inside the eye socket. So this is the eye socket, not this area here. The eye is there, and there's a line there that's a suture line between the frontal bone and the maxilla. We have the line in the exact same place. You can see it here, right? And see how it comes up and jogs? And this is that exact portion in the cave. This isn't a crack in the cave. These are 2 overlapping stony structures. And you can see it does that exact same little jog. Like, how specific is that in the exact location? And here's another one. This is the optic fissure where the optic nerve would go inside of an elephant skull. This is in that exact location inside the cave. So those are highly specific.
That is a coincidence, though. That's you.
Yeah, and then the question becomes, how many coincidences does it take before something goes from being far-fetched and harebrained to being a possibility? And then how many before?
Well,
it's
the
a
reason you don't
plausibility?
understand that is because you haven't done your PhD in statistical analysis.
Frank, careful with your sarcasm.
No, but I've done a
Lose
whole
money.
heck. I've done a whole heck of a lot of games of chance, and I know odds, which might even be better than statistical analysis, right? So, and then there's this section here, exactly where an ear would have been attached, that looks like maybe an ear was torn away, right? And I hypothesized that there might be a cave up there, and I didn't know it, but there was a cave, and I found out later because I was looking for the name of the road so I could hike up and try and find what I thought was a trail. It wasn't a trail, it's just a sea of broken rock here. But I was going to hike up there and see if, like, I could spot anything. And while I was looking for that, I came across this Google search, and there was a whole team of archaeologists that had gone up and explored a cave exactly here, right in the center of where, you know, it looks like there might have been an ear attachment. They went in with 3D mapping, LiDAR. They've got 3D fly-throughs with, like, you know, the cameras where you can wear the red and blue glasses. And they just check this out. Oh, wait. The music. You won't hear the music, but there's this epic music. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, he played it earlier. And yeah, we talked about it briefly, but.
Where is this exactly?
It's that point that sticks out closest to Ibiza.
Okay, near where you are.
So there's their LiDAR mapping of the internal structure of this cave. Here it looks like he's going around a corner, and that is the exact same shape as the cochlea. There were cave paintings. Here's your 3D fly-through. And they've got these cave paintings that look like deluge, animals falling from the sky, 4-legged creatures with horns. Like, what are the odds? And there's the broken fragments of bone. And even in mainstream geology, they tell us that limestone is essentially made of bone because it's compressed coral, mollusk, shellfish, endo, and exoskeleton. And so then this is getting back to your question, Frank, which I'll show in the next slide. So I hypothesized that this was formerly an eyeball, and I went up to show the cave to some friends. And also there's a bunch of rocky structures down here that are broken fragments of rocks. But if you look at the top of this cave, which overhangs, there's no breaks in it. It's totally smooth. So where did all the broken rock come from? That's a conundrum in and of itself. And I think it's the former petrified remains of the eye socket. But while I was up there, one of my friends noticed that this whole backside of that structure was covered in a 10-inch thick layer of quartz. And I'd hypothesized already that the backside of, or that anything that was fat would petrify to varying types of quartz, depending on the original material. And so if this is looking at the backside of an eye, and the and the optic nerve. And this whole quartz structure goes down to a point and goes down into the back of the cave at the central portion of the cave. So it's one of over 50 different anatomical correlations that I've documented with audio or with photographic and video evidence. So here you can see Google Earth originally. It looked like this when I started. I was using it as a drone because you're not allowed to fly drones. It's a national park. And you can see there's the ear structure right where it should be. And here's the eye. And about a year later, after I'd made a few videos on the subject, whoops, it looked like this. They closed it up.
Wow.
And I'm sure somebody at Google would say, oh, no, that's just some kind of a rendering glitch. But what it does effectively is you can't see the whole mountain now and note the ear and the eye. If you get in close and wait, it opens up. I've sped this up just for the purposes of the video. But yeah, so it's just a what are the odds kind of thing. And a lot of people were on the fence about my research until they saw that. And there you can see the mainstream.
So the fact they're covering it gives it credibility.
For some, in the eyes of some, it's definitely a So these are the problems that I had with a lot of the initial research that I was seeing, is that photographs from one angle, shadows and foliage are not being taken into account. Some of it's just AI, point and claim, no on-site investigations. Nobody's going back to these sites to like say, okay, these look like Titans, right? But are they? Does it look that way from another angle, or is that just a trick of the eyes? There are some sites that are worthy of further investigation, like this one, but to my knowledge, nobody has gone up and gotten any footage inside these caves, because if this was a being, there should be some evidence inside the eye socket that matches up with the anatomy, like I've shown with the mountain. So, that's a whole lot of stuff to go about. And then along the way, I came across this stone in a river bottom. You guys still there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I picked this up, and after looking at it for 30 seconds, I'm like, holy moly, this looks like a heart. And I started to recognize very specific anatomical features, which I'd studied in school. Here's the aorta and the vena cava, the two biggest blood vessels in the body. They're on the back side towards the top of the heart. And on the front side, you have the coronary artery opening and what's known as the coronary sulcus. And then this is your left atrium and your left ventricle. And right between that, I'll show pictures of fleshy hearts in a moment. You have this fatty area that is very common. And then you can see this section here, which would be your pulmonary arteries. And this is known as the isthmus. This is a very specific anatomical feature. This is what it looks like in a dissected fleshy heart. So already in the river bottom, I noticed that there were probably 8 different anatomical features. I brought it home. I got out my anatomy books. I started looking at it. By the time I was done and I got an endoscopic camera to get inside the chambers, I looked at it with microscopy. By the time I was done, there were over 24 anatomical features. And this is what fleshy hearts look like. And you can see that sulcus line that I was talking about. You see the fatty structure. You see the aorta and the vena cava are on the upper back side where those other holes were. This is giraffe. This is elephant. They change shape a lot, but their overall structure is the same. And so again, thinking of the scientific method, I was like, well, if this is true, I should be able to find more. And I went out into the rivers and to the mud and different places and started finding this reoccurring shape. Now, this is early days when I took this photograph. These aren't nearly as good as ones that I have now, which show far more specificities. But here you get a taste of the different shapes that hearts can have in that fatty layer. So it's scalable, it's repeatable, it's highly specific, and it's also predictable, because I've seen rocks that are buried, 2/3 buried, and I can recognize which portion of the the heart I'm looking at, and then pull out the rock and predict what the other sides are going to look like. So if you look at this structure here, and then we go back to what I was talking about here, you can see the stark similarities. I broke them open. They're white on the outside and fleshy on the inside, just like a heart. I had them CAT scanned. I went in with endoscopic cameras. This is what the inside of a heart looks like. It's not smooth like you would expect. It's bumpy. And so you would expect a petrified heart to have bumpy inside rather than smoothed out by water erosion. So it's just an incredible find that literally turns geology on its head.
Wow. So these are big animals that were there.
It's every size, from rodents, small creatures,
they all
up
get
to
petrified?
giants.
Yeah, so I think you need to explain your views on why the hearts get preserved as well.
Yeah, so I call it boiled egg theory, because obviously this isn't something that should be real outside of like if looking at mainstream geological narratives, they tell us that soft tissue can't petrify, only in the rarest of circumstances, because the soft tissue is going to be eaten away by the larvae and the bacteria long before the petrification process could ever happen, which is where there's this infusion of elements into the fleshy material, whether it's tree in the form of petrified trees or in something fleshy. So that's the mainstream narrative, is that's why there's only, a couple petrified hearts on record, in history, which is not true, because we talked about the archivist earlier, Ben. He's got multiple articles that he's fed me from newspaper articles from 100 years ago, where they're talking about petrified everything. And they're not talking about it in some fantasy way. They're talking about it in a very matter-of-fact, specific way. So this gets into what I call boiled egg theory. So obviously the hearts are being found outside of the body. So the only thing I could conclude from that is that the body is somehow destroyed and the heart is preserved. So initially I started thinking about a hard-boiled egg. If you think about the chest and abdominal cavities, they're very thick, fatty sacs that are filled with fluid, and then the organs are anchored in that fluid and floating, right? And so if you think of high temperatures, like a volcanic blast can reach temperatures of 1500 degrees Celsius, the pyroclastic flows can move at the speed of sound. So if you had those kinds of temperatures moving at the speed of sound, that would probably destroy a human body in quick order. Well, as that's happening, you've got a pressure cooker, which is the chest and abdominal cavities. So if you think of the fluid that's in those cavities boiling, and then if you put something in a pressure cooker, it cooks far more quickly and with less heat required. So that's the idea. And then if you cook an egg too fast, the shell will crack and the protein will leak out. But if you cook it slowly, it'll just get harder and harder and harder. Well, what about the bones and what about the muscles? Well, if you cook bone in a crock pot, it's very interesting what happens. In just a matter of hours, it turns to sponge, and then eventually to a gel, like you see there, and then they make bone broth out of it. So that could explain where the bones and the meat are going, and the boiled egg theory could account for the hardening of the organ. Then we have things like bog bodies, which are these. These have fallen into acidic waters, and the acid does a very interesting thing. It preserves the skin and it preserves the organs, but the bones and the muscles dissolve. So what it does to the organs is it hardens the organs. So if you think of this as a sac that eventually would get breached, those hardened organs would exit, and maybe they wouldn't already be stone, but maybe that process would be finished off by the paramineralization process, which is this infusion of the elements, like I was talking about before. It's not so far-fetched. There was a 18th century scientist named Girolamo Sagato. There was another named Paolo Guerini. They had the secret to petrifying all sorts of flesh, and these objects still exist in museums in Italy to this day. Petrified brain, petrified kidney, petrified hearts, petrified lungs. Oh no, that looks like placenta. You know, so their secrets of instant petrification died with them, but there are lots of examples in the fossil record of anomalous finds. My theories about fat petrifying to quartz can be seen here. This is petrified whale, and this is petrified dolphin. I could have them reversed, but you can see where this chunk is broken away, that it's quartz crystal inside. So this is an empirical example of fat petrifying to quartz. And then we have all of these different kinds of stones that our bodies make, right? We have gallstones, kidney stones. There's bezoars, which are the size of baseballs that are like kidney stones inside of cows or horses. And if you take cross sections of these, they look exactly like geodes. So what are geodes, right? Are they really coming about the way we were taught, or is it possible that when we're talking about geology, what we're really talking about is biology?
Wow.
And yeah.
That's
so
amazing.
I could go on and on and on. I mean, this is literally a 4-hour presentation. That's
amazing. When did you
PowerPoint that I'm
discover
going
all
through.
this?
Well, the Earth-shaped topic 10 years ago got me questioning a lot of different narratives. And when you start to look into space fakery and NASA and everything that's happened since, what you end up with is a whole lot of conspiracy rabbit holes that I'll just stop sharing here, or have I already done that?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole lot more that I could show there. Yeah, someone mentions Kent Hovind. He's really he's into the whole dinos, and he thinks he's on a spinning ball still, but he's a brilliant guy who's done a lot to debunk mainstream geological narratives. There's another PhD geologist named Andrew Snelling who's also done that. People don't realize this, but you can create petrified wood in a laboratory in 24 hours that's indistinguishable from naturally occurring petrified wood under a microscope, right? So we have these incredibly long timelines. When they tell us the petrified trees petrified 200 to 300 million years ago.
That's a lie.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we're supposed to buy that's been presented as indisputable fact because the scientists all are in agreement, and scientists have never all been in agreement about anything ever. So as soon as you hear statements like that, like we did during COVID, it should wake you up to immediately that they're lying to you. If it doesn't, you're a fool, because there's no such thing as settled science. The idea is antithetical to the entire scientific method, which is that it's never settled.
It's an oxymoron, isn't that the definition?
Yeah.
It's a contradictory term.
Yeah, just like military intelligence and a whole bunch of others.
Well, we've been going for 3 hours, which is way longer than I normally do, but
I hear that a lot.
I've enjoyed it. And Frank, you still awake? Frank enjoyed it. Where is Frank still here? Yeah, Frank is still here. He probably went to the washroom.
Oh, sorry, I had my mic off and it was making noises.
No, I appreciate that.
I thought it was just first class.
Well, it's really good to hear from a fakeologist and
to the doubters out there. What will the way that this will be proven? Sorry, not proven, but accepted is when geologists, mining people start basing their ideas on what you've done, and I think that's going to start occurring more and more. I mean, you talk about the shape of trees, you know, to explain these things called anticlines and synclines and so on. I know you're familiar with that, but other people.
Synclinals, yeah.
So what you might have a picture there to show people, but essentially, when let's say if I'm most of my experience is an open cut. If we're designing what the batter angle is of the pit wall, we will look at these anticlines and synclines and make decisions about how the rocks are going to fall, whether they're going to tumble out of the wall or not, or whether the wall is going to stand up straight.
Right.
Now,
yeah, you need to have a good idea about the structure.
Now, if you make the understanding that this is a tree and then try and get some sort of scale of the size of the tree and follow the grain, that's going to be very helpful to people. You know,
yeah, there's an old book
whereas at the moment what they're saying is all these horizontal layers of rocks are being deformed by the various tectonic pressures, and that's how we got all these anticlines. And of course that you can't actually use that to model how the rock is going to appear here and there and in other places. Whereas if we know it's a tree, if I had that model in my mind, I would make a lot better decisions about what's going on in those rock walls when we're designing them.
And this,
I think what you're doing is just providing what's potentially going to be a huge breakthrough for civil and mining engineers. Time will tell.
Yeah, I've had a number of geologists over the years, apart from Gaia, who've chimed in on my channel and been totally on board. I've had medical doctors as well who are looking at the stuff, and they've got the anatomical knowledge, because there's usually not an overlap of those two skill sets, right? You don't have a lot of geologist medical doctors. You know, it's like it's one or the other. So you get this compartmentalization within academia instead of like a cross pollination of cross-disciplinary field research, right? So, and then this gets into the big question of why the lie? Why would they, if it's true that Titans existed and titanic trees, isn't that a really cool thing? Wouldn't they want us all to know? No.
I've got my hand up with an answer. Ask me.
Yeah, I'll ask the geologist in the room. Why the lie?
Well, I think it's to disconnect us from God.
Well, that's the spiritual war aspect, which I definitely agree with. But on a more pragmatic,
for example, if you're asking why they don't show all the geologists these practical models,
if this is the truth,
they do find them out during their lifetime. It's like, I can only give my own example. I was raised with the spinning ball. Okay, no problem. Then I'm going to work as a planning engineer, as a mining engineer, and all the survey work is based on the idea that the Earth is flat.
Right.
All of it, right?
Funny
but it never occurred to me to question the spinning ball model until whatever it was, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago.
Yeah.
When I never, everyone says, well, you're an idiot for thinking the world is flat. But as I said to you, there's not a single person, living man or woman, listening to this that makes use of anything except the flat stationary Earth model. That's the only model we use. No one uses the spinning ball model.
Yeah, everyone's sort of cognitive dissonance. But sorry to interrupt, but I coined the term paradigm blindness, because how could so many geologists be wrong about something that's so self-evident if it's true?
But they will say, if you talk to them, oh, it looks a bit like a tree. They know.
Yeah, but that's pareidolia in their minds. That's just a trick of the eye. We have pattern recognition abilities, and our eyes
still
spot things.
Create the models, the models that they produce with their computers and so on.
And this gets back to the why the lie, because if you are a trillionaire and you have sequestered knowledge, right, and the truth about the big trees and Titans, and that's the real history, and we're not on a spinning ball out in space where everything exploded from nothing, and then all this stuff coalesced into planets, and the narrative that we're told. If you know that, and everyone else has been bamboozled because they're blinded by the paradigm that they've been presented from birth, right? From all the public indoctrination system, you know. And then if you become an academic, now you're a specialist, so you're an expert, so you're suffering from expertitis, I call it, right? The inflammation of expertism, where they know increasingly more and more about less and less until they know absolutely nothing about everything, or everything about nothing. You know. And so the lie would be, if these people know this stuff, they've got such a jump on the most valuable resources.
That's absolutely 100%.
Right?
Well,
They
it's
know
called an
exactly
edge.
where to look for shit, and we
An edge.
are blind men, you know, palpating an elephant, going, "It's a rope, it's a tree trunk, it's a snake," you know. And we
or that what's the Plato's cave? We're in Plato's cave.
Yeah.
So
the other thing I wanted to mention, because the archivist Ben has found many articles, and I've got them in my presentations as well, where they were mining the petrified forests, plural. There were many of them, and they were all over the place, and they were mining them because the trees contained gold and silver and copper and precious minerals and gems, right? These are in the trees, but obviously trees nowadays are not growing those things, although you can find trees that do have metal flowing through their sap, right? So maybe the trees are actually creating metal as well.
Well,
right?
in Ballarat, in near where I live, there's a very famous gold mining area of Ballarat, where they call these things deep vein leads and all this sort of thing. They're essentially what you're talking about. They're tree roots and so on that contain the gold.
Yeah, I've got loads of slides on all of these subjects, and also if you look at the mainstream narrative for amber, they talk about amber being petrified sap, but on the hardness scale, it's only a 2.5. Diamond is a 10, right? You can dent amber with your fingernail. So does that sound petrified to you?
No, not to me.
Not to me either, right? It sounds like oxidized, hardened sap, not petrified. If it were petrified, it would be stone. Well, what would you expect that to look like? Quartz, perhaps? And let me just show. I'm going to share screen again real briefly. We were about to say goodbye there, and here we go again.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want. Yeah, we'll have you back.
It's on topic, but
we'll have you back if you want to come back.
Sure, I'll come back. Yeah. So there we go. I'm just going to show some of the best evidence, because we talked about the salt mines. We talked about, people don't, this is the video that I made. There's gold in them, there are trees, right? Because where are they finding? Yeah. Well, I've changed it.
Oh, you changed it. Okay.
Artistic license. Yeah. So I am of the mind, and so is Hangman 1128, whose channel we mentioned earlier, that the petrified trees, that the sap in the trees petrifies quartz. Well, where do they find gold?
In the quartz.
Find gold in the quartz veins, along with
in
copper and silver.
Ballarat, it's exactly the same. Yeah.
Sorry, they find gold in the quartz seams, but they call it gold veins. So again, you're using the anatomical terminology. When we look at something like rainbow obsidian or copper, rainbow obsidian, and I can show in between stages where you can see it still looks like tree. There's your micro layering of the tree, right? If that's just melted volcanic stone, then why does it have all this color and all this micro layering? And this is an example of the kinds of petrified forests that used to exist all over. And when they were mining these things, check out these numbers. $15,000 of silver to the ton. This is 100 years ago. This would be $600,000 worth of silver per ton when they were mining these trees. No wonder they aren't around anymore, right? They were yielding gold. They were yielding all this stuff. Multiple examples of petrified everything, coming from the works of Hangman. And I just want to show this.
Have you seen these giant barrels over Vietnam and Laos? that were bombed during
Yeah,
the Vietnam War?
yeah. I think that those
that are
could
likely
be
to be the
seeds.
berries, the seed
Yeah, I
pods.
think there'd be seed pods. I've presented those in presentations as well.
Oh, okay.
So this is said to be like one of the largest petrified trees in the world. But when you look at petrified wood up close,
I can't see anything on the screen of the petrified wood. So I've got.
So what screen are we looking at here?
I've got anything can petrify.
Anything can petrify.
Yeah, we've got
organs,
that
cysts, tumors,
yeah, I
lymph
thought we were looking
nodes.
at the wrong screen. Just change your whatever screen you're sharing because we're looking at the one with the anything can petrify screen.
Oh, I probably have two. I might have opened a second PowerPoint. Oh.
I can see your cursor
If
moving
you
around the screen.
Just stop sharing and
Oh,
then
you're seeing. Okay. Yeah, I'll just stop sharing. Right. There we go.
Now we're seeing something else.
Stop sharing screen.
That's
Hangman.
Yeah, that's my
All right.
screen.
All right, entire screen.
Should we get Hangman on the show?
Oh,
He doesn't really like to do public appearances. He keeps to himself. So if you got him on, I'd be impressed, and I would love to be on with him if you wanted to join. But I doubt you'd be able to. Let's see, window, and I need to share again. There we go. Wait a minute. Why is it doing this? Okay. Share entire screen. There we go. All right, now you see the reality. Can you hack it again?
Hold on 1 sec.
I've got is
Here we go. We're good.
Yep.
It says reality. Can you hack it?
Yeah, we're good. We're here.
Okay.
Come on.
So this is what they say is the largest petrified tree in the world, I think, or one of them. They say it's like 8 feet in diameter.
Okay.
This is on site with Hangman, Mike. And there were a lot of times where I couldn't tell the difference between the wood that was on the ground and stone because they were identical.
Where are you in Spain there?
This is in the Black Hills of South Dakota. We traveled together for a week a little over a year ago.
Is that near Mount Rushmore?
Yep.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Are those petrified presidents in the mountain?
No, they carved the presidents out of petrified wood. That whole region is all one giant tree.
Okay.
We're talking,
is that why they
we're
were able
talking
to carve it?
trees. They disfigured a very sacred site from the Indians. That entire site is a total blasphemy.
Oh, wow. Are the Indians mad about that?
Yeah, I think they're mad about a whole lot of stuff, probably.
I shouldn't laugh.
So here you can see that it's manifesting wood in every way, shape, and form.
That's rock. So that's rock.
all stone. Yeah.
Okay. Rock, stone.
But yeah, so it turns gray and you get the lichen and it oxidizes. But in the sites that maybe are north facing, they still have the original tree grain color. And I'll show that in a moment. But there's sites where he has pulled away at pieces and you can still see that it's fibrous on the inside. So this is one of many data points in favor of the big trees, but I think it's the most conclusive, self-evident evidence of all of them. I mean, not specifically this site, but the footage that Hangman and I have been sharing for years. But he was really the pioneer when it came to exposing this information. And interestingly enough, Roger Spur of Mud Fossil University has never addressed the topic of the big trees except to claim that they're not a thing.
That's right.
Right. He's also never addressed my work on the Titan, which is odd because it's the most consistent and supportive of his research of anyone out there. He's never mentioned the Heartstones. So I lean towards either he.
But Alan Paco does mention the Heartstones, and
Alan used to talk about me a lot, and then he became convinced that I was a shill and that I wasn't a believer in Christ, and he started making all kinds of claims about me that weren't true. So I stopped interacting with him.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. But I still reference both of those guys because that's part of the origin story of these ideas for me. So I'm not afraid to talk about them. I just don't resonate with the things that they say anymore. But you can see this is obviously tree, right? It's you gotta be blinded to the idea. And here you can see the micro layering of obsidian, and you can even see here's the tree, but here the heat was greater and it vitrified. So now we're talking glassification, right? So there's just so much. And the last thing I want to show before I wrap it up is this. Like,
wow.
There's a lot of people that talk about Devil's Tower having been a tree. And there's even claims that there was some big LiDAR test, but I've never been able to find the research anywhere. So I think it's just a fabrication. But you can, if you look at the structure, like these big channels going down, and then it branches off into other channels. And then you see this kind of stuff from the Action Adventure twins, where they'll go down 500-600 feet into a structure, and then they'll go through a snaking channel. There always happens to be like a narrow snaking channel that doesn't just end. They always seem to be able to like go further, and then they find another one of these big channels going down. So I think what they're exploring, and you can't explain this being eroded through water erosion because they're so, you can see there at the end, look at how chunky that is. There's no hint of this being formed by some massive water flows once upon a time in Earth's history. And then when you see this sort of thing, like down here, these are lava tubes, and lava tubes are a whole other rabbit hole in and of themselves. You got horizontal lines, and then you have lines going this way. And supposedly all of these are carved by lava. Well, how does lava carve?
Mm-hmm.
And how does it bifurcate, like you see here, branching in different directions? And how can these layers be both vertical and horizontal? There's your horizontal. And I guess that's the last one. But and then you've got the tepuis that we mentioned before. So I think that these are all just fragments of what were much larger structures. And then you can see here, we call them artesian wells. There's lots of videos of examples of smaller, today's size trees tapping into waters below. And then this is like a fire hydrant here. And then there's trees in the forests, like this one. They hack into them, and water spurts out like a fire hydrant. So if you extrapolate up and you think of a tree that's miles wide at the base, then the channels that the sap would have flowed through would be the size of exactly what the Action Adventure twins are
Where is
walking,
that spurting water
through.
tree?
Oh,
That
there's
is
a whole bunch of
unbelievable.
videos like that. In fact, they just recently cut down they're just animals, no offense to real animals, but they cut down one of the most sacred trees in the world, and in some country it looked like this, but way, way bigger, and they're like filming themselves as they're cutting it down. This gets into things like Petra in Jordan, and these kinds of structures. I think that there's a lot of people talking meltology, melted structures, and I think that there's a lot of evidence for that. I didn't used to. I thought they were crackpots, but now I've seen enough to understand that that's also a thing. But I don't think that that's what these structures are. I think this is sandstone, and sandstone was originally cedar, but on a great size. The trees were felled, they were brought down, and before they petrified, I think that just like in Avatar, they could no longer live in the living tree, so they started carving into the tree to survive, and use it for shelter. And if you look at the insides of Petra, it's clearly tree grain.
Wow.
And then when the sap, it comes in all different colors. And now that you've seen all this, you can look at these through
Well,
new
do,
eyes.
do you think it's called Petra because it's petrified?
Definitely.
Hmm.
Definitely.
So someone knew.
Yeah. And also, when it comes to the mountain here that I've investigated, the river that goes alongside the mountain is called the Gata de Gorgos River. And Gorgos is named after the Gorgons. And the Gorgons were 3 mythical Greek goddesses. And one of the 3 of them was Medusa. So literally the river that goes alongside of the elephant is named after the goddess of instant petrification. And
Wow.
yeah,
It all ties together.
Yeah, it all dovetails in a way that it shouldn't. And that gets to this, which I often like to say, is that, the eyes are useless when the mind is blind. And all of these things have some degree of truth to them. And so the answer is probably E, all of the above. And our task is to investigate, keep an open mind, not too open, look for the overlaps like a syncretist would do, and learn how to discern fact from fiction. This is what we were talking about before, Frank, with the different trees that literally are bleeding metal. So what would happen if this tree were to petrify rapidly under some kind of a cataclysmic event? Might that metal that's floating freely in the fluid
End up
coalesce
as naked copper.
into the lines of current, which would be your copper, your silver, your gold, and whatnot. So it all makes a whole heck of a lot of sense when you see it, put together in a presentation like this. But if people just get little factoids along the way, they're gonna reject it because it's
But all you can do is present your evidence. I mean, it's not much you can do.
Yeah, you can't beat it.
If people,
yeah,
if people are looking for it, if they have a use for the model that you're presenting, they'll do it. They'll see it.
And for the 3rd time or 5th time, Nico Traumas and others, we have fakeologist.blog. That's where I put all the show notes. And as we were talking, I made most of the notes. So we have links to Stellerium and Hangman and just about
the Archivist.
The Archivist. I put it all on here. If you look on my blog right here, I know a lot of people are on FAKotube, so they don't know, but this is the best place for me to put the notes because they're all clickable, and all that is on here. Wow, what a huge show tonight. Wow, we had 48 consistent people on YouTube. They didn't really fall off unless they were people coming on and then new ones going on and old ones falling off. But it's pretty consistent. We had quite a good crowd on FAKotube, which is my platform over here at fakotube.com. On X, let's see X numbers. I got to go look them up as well because that one is separate. We have 40 people on X listening. So that was pretty good.
Nice.
So yeah, we had a pretty good crowd today. And this is not our normal time. And of course, people want to know, well, how do I know when it's not the normal time? Well, you go to fakeologist.com/live. And on there's an actual calendar. And as you can look here, there's the calendar. So we have Stellium. I put him at 2 o'clock. So we did make that. And you can see the rest of the week right here. Rest of the week. So tomorrow is Tim Osmond, IPS at 8 o'clock. So he's going to be a regular on Mondays. So, wow, a lot of information there. I was most interested, of course, in the
hacking.
Well, that's because that's what I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
But you exposed me now to the whole petrified trees. It's fascinating.
Not just petrified trees, but animals as well.
Yeah, animals and trees. Yeah, that's true.
Steve, if you think of a forest, there's a ton of trees, and you could walk through a forest and not see a single animal, right? They're there, but they're probably living up in the branches and stuff.
Yeah.
But in general, like mammal to tree ratio in our realm is way leaning towards tree. So I think that's also evident in, like, there's not a lot of evidence for titans out there other than what I've been presenting, and a lot of photographs of sites that look interesting but haven't been explored further. But the evidence for the great trees is indisputable in my mind.
I like it.
And there's so much in favor of it.
Art,
And obviously, it doesn't work on a ball the size they told us.
interesting. Ardman says driving across the Alps is fascinating since I discovered stellium. Cheers for that.
Oh, thank you.
That's good. Steve says this is a great time for London. I know that because it's not too late over there in Jolly Old, and he enjoyed it. Skyfish is suspicious of that vid. I'm not sure which vid. And
maybe that x.com one. Geology.
Maybe, I don't know. There's a lot.
Click on it.
There's a lot going on here, and
well, you know, there's some times people are going to get it wrong when they're developing these theories. You know, you're not going to be right all the time, Stellium.
But you're putting it out.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Yeah, I say on a regular basis, I could be wrong about all this stuff. You know, yeah. I'm just exploring, asking interesting questions, and speculating about things, and then sometimes I come across you're doing empirical evidence.
No, hang on. You're underselling yourself. The work you did on the eyeball and on the elephant is astonishing. You know, it's very thorough.
Thank you.
No, it's very good. Very good, very interesting. And so, Stellium, you think you can make it back? Maybe we can get into more of your stuff. We've covered, obviously, the hacker thing. Good luck on the book. But do you want to come back? You can give us more of a presentation if you want.
Sure. Yeah.
I guess this. All right. I guess this is the best time. Afternoons here, evening there.
I'll download and upload this to my channel as well. It was a fun conversation, and we covered a lot of ground, and we'll see if I get any strikes.
Well, so your stuff on the trees is getting struck off YouTube, or
no? I've in the entire time I've had my channel, I've only had one strike, and it was for the presentation that I gave at Librepulco the year before last, which was called Rebel Health, Innate Intelligence, Vitalism, and Radical Responsibility. And I was exposing the Rockefeller overthrow of medicine and their attempts to eliminate the chiropractic profession and osteopathy and homeopathy. And they're bringing in the petroleum-based medicines. And I talked about the COVID hoax and a whole bunch of other things. And so
I see. Okay, that's why
something got flagged. So, but yeah, I've been pretty cautious when it comes to the biogeology stuff, because there's a lot of research and a lot of time and effort that is at risk if I get too radical. So there's a whole bunch of topics I would like to go into that I just stay away from on the channel because the algorithms are what they are. I mean, I've been shadow banned. I did an interview 2 nights ago with a woman who typically gets between 250,000 to 400,000 listeners.
Wow!
And I had not simultaneous listeners, but viewers over the course of the time the video is
amazing. Up. Still, that's a lot.
And so I finished that interview, which was live streamed, thinking that it was going to be like, oh wow, let's see what happened on my channel. 2 subscribers.
So did she put proper links, or they just? So you're saying no one saw the video?
We talked about my channel, a lot, and there wasn't a problem with finding me, and so yeah, from an algorithm perspective, it's been heavily algorithmed. I shot up to 20,000 within like a year and a half, and then it took me 5-6 years to get up to 32 now, and in those years, the content has become way more comprehensive. The presentations are a lot more concise. I'm not fumbling to find things because I have, good PowerPoint presentations that I can use to get around quickly. So it's better than ever, with more subs than ever. YouTube shows my videos to no new people. I only reach 1/10 of my own audience, and it never gives my videos out to new audience.
Oh, that's the key.
I used to get 100 to 500 new subs every video. Now I'll get 5 or 10, and then it'll bleed off 5 or 10 over the next week. So I just kind of like hover at the same numbers. So
I got ya.
I know everyone's complaining in the truther, world. They're all complaining about algorithms, but that is pretty apparent. And then there's that eye winking at you too, which is another interesting data point, the eye socket. So
Okay. Yeah, Skyfish said he was suspicious of the tree squirting like a fire hydrant. Okay, I see.
There's a bunch of those videos though. Maybe, obviously some could be fake, but I've seen HD footage of people walking up to the tree, and there's new footage of, maybe he's talking about that one of the giant tree that they supposedly took down recently. I would like to think that was faked, in which case the tree may still be there, but it was one of the most magnificent trees on earth that apparently some people decided to take down.
Okay, well, you got a lot of energy. I guess you're a chiropractor, so maybe you can crack your way into being of good health and good energy. But I know it's getting late there because it's almost dinner time here. But
it's almost 11.
Yeah, wow.
And thank you to Anna for organizing it all, of course.
Yes, Anna.
Yeah, thank you,
Our
Anna.
new show booker. She's got Mark Devlin for January.
Oh, yeah. Mark was at the Illuminate and Elevate conference and at Librepulco. So I got to spend a bunch of time with Mark over the last couple months. And Steve Young was at both of those events as well. You should definitely get him on. And
does he have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, he does. Stephen, just search for A Fool's Wisdom by Stephen Young, and if you search for that, you'll probably find some interviews from him. It's Stephen. I think it might be Stephen H. Young.
Okay.
His book is A Fool's Wisdom. So, and I could recommend a bunch of other really great researchers. So.
Okay, well, you've got my email address. I'm at fakeologist.com. Here's Stephen A. Young here.
Yeah, but that's not his channel. That's probably an interview that he did.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
he has a channel as well, but I don't
so many good guys out there I'm not even familiar with. Oh yeah,
that's the interview I did with him about his book. There's his on top. That's his YouTube channel.
Oh, this is him here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So many people. I'll put a link.
PhD quantum physicist and nuclear physicist, and he's written a book debunking both.
And no wonder I haven't heard of them. Nobody wants to recommend them. So that's really interesting. That's amazing. All you guys out there that are...
Look into Mark Gober as well. He's written 7 books called The End to Upside Down Thinking, End to Upside Down Medicine, End to Upside Down Thinking, End to Upside Down Cosmology, which is his most recent one, which is an amazing book. He's a savant. He's an incredible researcher, chunks data like nobody I've ever encountered, and presents it in a very approachable and palatable way.
Greg says I posted an interview with Steven, so maybe I have listened to the guy. So I don't know. There's so much information. It's crazy. Okay. Again, in the YouTube, go to my blog, fakeologist.blog. You're going to get the links to Stellium 7. Of course, you can type it in yourself, Stellium 7. But thanks a lot. You gave us a ton of information to go for.
Hope I didn't bore anyone.
No, it was good. I think we have a lot of synchronicity. So hopefully people can go to your channel, and hopefully when you post this, you can link to fakeologist.com, and maybe they'll find some interesting stuff at our place. But thank you so much.
I've got a couple of videos about synchronicity on my channel because there have been so many of them. I had to like lay them out and catalog them and tell the stories because they are crazy. So check out the synchronicity stream. That's a really good video.
Is that about synchromysticism?
Synchromysticism, syncretism, synchronicity, all of it has just followed me through this whole experience.
All right. So I think John the boss.
I like the little tips of the hat and, nods of the head from the universe.
Ardman says he'll give me sats if I am on Nostr. I was on Nostr for a while, but I didn't get anywhere on there, so I gave up. You can still send me sats at fakeologist.blog, fakeologist.com rather /donate. So we'll take your sats, we'll take your Bitcoin, we'll take whatever you got. You want to send gold? Send gold. I'll set up a gold crypto account as well. But anyway, thanks so much, Frank, cousin Frank over in Geelong. Hope you had fun.
I did, and thank you very much for organising, inviting me along. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Great to
you added
be
a
able
lot.
to talk with you, Mike.
Tonight,
Yeah, it was really nice you were here, Frank. I'm not sure I would have been able to talk about this stuff if it was just him.
You did a good job, Frank, tonight. You didn't push off the guests too much, which is good. Not that any.
See you, good.
No, you were good. You were good. I appreciate you because you know more about the guests than I did. So that's.
Frank, I think. Oh, sorry. I interrupted.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do that a lot. No, I think I might have your email address, but if not, maybe you could.
Ima at
reach out.
fakeologist.com. Excuse me, my voice is gone. Ima at fakeologist.com.
I'm talking to the geologist in the room.
Oh, Frank.
I'm not a geologist. I'm a mining engineer. Come on.
Okay.
He's Frank at fakeologist.com.
It's even better. That means you actually know what you're doing.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, so I have sent that. We have exchanged emails. So
Cool.
yeah, I'll send more to you.
But you're also Frank at fakeologist.com, right? Frank.
Correct. That's right.
That's
yeah.
easy. All right.
Yeah, it's all easy. All right, guys, have a great night. We're going to render this show. It'll be on FakeOTube. It's going to probably take at least an hour to render on FakeOTube. I'm going to delete it off YouTube, but YouTube doesn't render it for 24 hours anyway. So, but it'll be on FakeOTube, Mike, if you want to go there and download it, fakeotube.com.
Would that be higher resolution than I could? I mean, I can download it from YouTube, obviously, but
no, you won't be
nice
able to because I'm going to delete it because we talked about COVIDs.
Do
you want me to leave it on YouTube? But you got to wait, 24 hours? I could leave it. I'm at 720p.
I don't know. I mean, are they still censoring for COVID? I think it's just the whatever the psyop of the day is, that they're hardest on. Like, well, I think a lot of people are talking about COVID now and getting away with it. But,
okay, well, I can leave it there, but you can get it off FakeOTube. It's 720p.
FakeOTube.
Is that good?
Oh, that's good enough. Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah, get it off FakeOTube.
The stuff on my channel, when it comes to all the footage of the great trees and everything, is way better in 1080p because you can really appreciate the detail up close.
Okay.
So HD footage is best for that stuff.
All right. Okay. Well, sayonara, everyone. Have a good night. We're almost at 4 hours now. Whoop-dee. I think I got been sitting a long time. I got to go.
Been going over 1,000 episodes. What's your longest?
Well, this one's definitely up there for the main show. The audio chats go for sometimes 24 hours, but I'm not on most of the time. I can't sit there for more than a few hours. So yeah, this is definitely one of the longest FAKs. So hopefully this will
4 hours. 4 hours. This would easily be the longest one.
Easily, yeah. I think you're going for the record, Mike. You might have said it. So everyone donate.
Too much to share.
Yeah, everyone donate, help out, make this content happen. It doesn't come for free. Sayonara. Take care, guys. Have a good night or day or afternoon.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.